Hey everyone! How's it going? Hope everyone's doing well. You're here early. We're going to get started with the lesson in about 25 minutes from now. So yeah, all of you are really early today. which is great. I like seeing people early. Right now is your chance to just talk, ask questions if you're curious about anything. Can't really ask random questions during the lesson once we start, but right now it's a great time. Before and after the lesson. Let's see, we have a lot of people in here already. People are talking about learning Korean, which is good. This would be a good place to talk about that. Aniki, 안녕하세요, welcome. Our first member to arrive on the red carpet is Aniki. That's right. If you are a member of this channel, you get your name in a special color and a badge next to your name. You get to watch these live streams abridged tonight, the same night after they finish. Welcome, welcome to everyone. Let's see. Random person says, I recommend Billy's beginner course and YouTube channel, Just Learn Korean. I don't know that YouTube channel. I do know one called Just Korean, but there are a lot of YouTube channels these days. Maybe I do know them. I don't know. I subscribe to like everyone that I see for Korean learning. Seems like a green carpet. That's a good point. Yeah. I should also, it's a good time to mention, we do have let me put this in the chat. We do have an active Discord channel that's official for my channel. Discord channel for my channel. Yeah. And people go there to ask questions. You can hang out with other Korean learners. Again, it's completely free. And there is a link to it any second now in the chat. If the bot wants to work, it's supposed to copy a link in the chat any second now. It'll come. Just wait for it. If you can't wait, there's also a link in the video description, like literally 24/7. It's always there. So you can check the description. I don't know what the bot's doing. It's sleeping. It'll wake up. I don't know what it's doing. Sometimes it leaves the channel. Let me check. Now is a good time for me to check the bot. Anyway, since we haven't really started yet. Okay, any questions? Oh, hey Trega. 안녕하세요. Welcome, Trega. I'm just gonna restart the bot, so feel free to ask any questions. Learn Korean. Sign in. Oh yeah, it had left. I don't know why it left. Some reason it left sometime this week. So I don't know. Normally it's there. I don't have to tell it to join, but yeah, it looks like it left. But it's back now. So let's see if this works. Let's try it again. Looks like it's rejoining my channel, so maybe it'll work now. If it doesn't, I'll try it again in like a minute. See if it responds then. Come on. Do something. Anyway, while it's doing that, Beck says, can we voice chat practice? Yeah, there is a voice channel in the Discord you can join. Carl, welcome. 안녕하세요. Zandria Waters as well. I'm making a dry erase calendar in Korean, you say. What is a dry erase calendar? Hey, the bot's back. Okay. Anyway, that's the Discord. You didn't really need it though, because it's always in the description, but now it's in the chat too. And it posted it twice. It felt bad. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, running late. Here you go. Oh, here you go. I see you asked for it twice. So yeah, there we go. Okay, let's take a few questions. Random says, how do I become more confident when speaking Korean? And do you recommend focusing on more vocabulary or grammar? Becoming more confident just has to do with becoming better at speaking Korean. Unless you're a naturally confident person, that's your personality. You're really outgoing, then you're probably always confident and it's not going to change whether you're good or bad. But generally, when you get faster, more proficient at Korean, you'll get more confident at using it. But it just takes a lot of it just takes a lot of practice, really. That's how you get more confident, is by doing it more. Like if someone put me in front of a stage and said, okay, Billy, I want you to give a 10-minute speech in Korean about this topic that you're not very familiar with. Oh, and here's 300 people watching. Oh, and they're recording it. I'd be like, oh, I'm not confident anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. So it depends what you're talking about. Do you recommend focusing on more vocabulary or grammar? It depends what your level is. So I say for beginners, I always tell beginners, like brand new beginners, don't worry about vocab. You're not going to be able to use it until you can actually have vocabulary to use it. Like you don't need to know the word for, light. Like I have my studio lights. You don't need to know the word for light unless you know how to say to turn on and turn off. And you're not going to need to know how to say turn on and turn off a light, which is also vocabulary, until you know how to say how to conjugate past tense. So grammar, until you know how to say like I want to, or I'm going to, or I just did. Like these types of grammar, you're not going to need to even use certain vocab until you know the grammar forms that would be associated with that. So I wouldn't focus on vocabulary as a beginner at all. Like pointless in my opinion. Not that it's, if you know it, it's great. It'll be useful later on, but it's pointless in the sense that your time is valuable and you can get a lot farther by just focusing on grammar in the very beginning, just in the very beginning. After that, when you get past the beginning level, you'll of course need to know more and more vocabulary. And then as you get advanced, then vocabulary is like the most important thing besides practicing. And grammar becomes less important because you'll be exposed to so much of it that the grammar that you're learning will be like rules for that grammar. Like, oh, I didn't know that was how I'm supposed to use it. Like that sort of thing. Niamand asked, has the Korean language changed during your years of study? A ton. In fact, I'm planning a video about that. I haven't filmed it, but I've been writing a video about how Korean has changed on and off for over a year. I have it in my notes. So I have lots of notes, still putting them together. Maybe I'll film that this summer when I go over to Korea. But yeah, tons has changed. And I've gone back and updated stuff that's changed even. Like my Korean Made Simple book, there have been stuff that have changed since I published that book. And so I went back and actually updated it. That way it's not like, too out of date. Most of the stuff doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to, like general conjugation rules, those aren't really going to change. But some specific details can change over time. Zandria said, I just printed a black calendar and I'm laminating. Oh, I see you meant blank. I was thinking though for a second, what's a black calendar? Black calendar. So I can't use that, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. I was wondering if I take a 친구 SIM card when I arrive in Korea, how people are going to contact me. Do you keep your phone number? I've never swapped out my SIM card in Korea before. I always just use the same phone that I use in the US. I bring right over to Korea and it works fine because I use Google Fi in the US, which is like, I wish they paid me, but I love it. The signal is kind of trash in some areas. You just don't get coverage, but in the places you do get coverage, it's okay. I think they used like Sprint's network coverage, so it's not the best. Verizon's better coverage, but then you have to deal with Verizon. I don't want to touch Verizon. They're terrible like service from what I've gotten. But anyway, Google Fi is okay. And then the nice thing is they charge you the same price regardless of where you are. So it doesn't work if you move permanently to Korea because it has to connect with a US tower at least once every, like the majority of the time within your billing period is supposed to be, or 3-month period. Yeah, 3-month period is supposed to be in a US area. So it works for me because I'll only go for like 2-3 months at a time. But if you live there, it wouldn't work. But it's great for taking trips. It's the same price. So I just go over there. It just works. It's decent speed. It's not full 5G, but I think it's like 3G speeds, but it's good enough. It's good enough for streaming. I do my streams on it. It's good enough for watching videos, doing everything. And it's cheap. I think it's like $10 a gigabyte. So, I mean, not cheap, but considering I only use a few gigabytes per month, it's not too bad. But if you're going to be using a lot of data, or if you need a phone number, then you can't. You have to get a SIM card because someone can't call you on a Korean number, if you're doing that, if someone wants to actually call my phone and they're not using Kakao or something like that, they would have to just dial my American US phone number. It would be an international charge for that. So it's not realistic for actual phone calls. It's okay for like emergencies, but it's not okay for regular phone calls. It'd be too expensive. And for a SIM card, when you change it, they're going to let you know about that. They'll give you a Korean phone number when you swap it. So make sure to talk with them about that. Some SIM cards will only do a phone number. Other ones will allow you to have data as well. So make sure to get the right one and then find out about what your phone number would be. So don't just let them give you the SIM card and say bye. Make sure you ask your questions like, okay, what's my phone number? Okay, let me test it. How much am I paying for each phone call? All that sort of stuff. Is text messaging included? And yeah, it will be included with your phone number. But these days, though, people don't really people don't text. Texting isn't really a thing. It's now all done over Kakao. So it's like you just call someone on the phone or you Kakao message them. Zandria says you either die excellent at Korean or live long enough to be a noob at the new slang. Yeah, that is my deepest, darkest fear. So no, I'm always trying to keep up to date with slang. I don't use it, but I want to keep up to date with it because I have a responsibility to let you know how Korean is changing. Even if I don't use that slang for reasons obvious because I'm older. I mean, I'm 37. I'm not going to be going around saying like, whoa, lit fam. I can't even like pretend, but they have that same sort of thing in Korean, but I can tell you what stuff is being used and what stuff isn't because there's always tons of new slang. Every year there will be new slang that comes and goes. And I emphasize the goes part. Most of it never sticks around past a year or two, and then you never hear it again. But when it comes out, people will be like, oh yeah, that's the new slang. You know, you'll see it on Instagram. People will say, oh, this is a new slang word that came out. Wait a year, it's gone. No one would ever say it. So sometimes words will stick longer than a year or so past the trend. And in that case, I'm happy to teach you them because in that case, it's actually something that you could go around using. But a lot of it, if you go around using it, you're never going to know if the person you say it to understands you. I'll give you an example in English. The word sus, right? For suspicious from, I believe it got popularized from Among Us. Can you go around and saying sus to other strangers you meet? Maybe your friends who are younger than you or your same age or are familiar with that sort of game. But if you go say it to your parents, it just sounds awkward. So you have to be careful about who you're using the slang to, and then how do they perceive you when you use that slang? Does it sound like this person's being funny, or does it sound like they're just uneducated, or does it just sound like they're annoying? So every word will have those different nuances to it. Aniki says, is there a difference to uryona and urka when talking to yourself? Yes, the first one is used when you are considering, you're wondering something out loud, like, would it be? Would it be like that? And gayo, ga or gayo, well, normally ga if you're talking to yourself, that would just be could it? Could it? Simply, it's a literal form, like would it be, could it be? Whereas uryona is more of like a I'm wondering about something. Not could it be, would it be, but just I wonder. So it's a difference in nuance. And then, of course, the usage of those, like the grammar, how you would use them. Like you couldn't use uryona directly to someone, but you could use ga directly to someone. Let's see. Sua says, Billy, what are you going to do if you can't purchase those kinds of shirts? These shirts, well, I'm not worried because I know how to search for them if I need more. And I have like 6 in my closet. So yeah, it's not really a big concern. Same with the hat. I know the company that makes the hats and I know where to get this specific hat. Actually, I have a duplicate of it in Korea right now. That's the one whenever I'm in Korea, I'm actually wearing this hat, exact same one. The company doesn't make these anymore, but they have a big stock and you can usually find them. I know where to get them. And even if they don't have this exact hat, since I know the company that makes it, they always have a similar color, similar type of thing. So I can get other ones. So yeah, I'm not worried about it. I thought about that. And then same with KitKat. I have like I haven't counted, but something like 6 KitKats. They all have different purposes. One of them is the one you see on screen most of the time, but then there are different versions. There's a Korean one, she just lives in Korea. She's always in Korea right now in a box. And I have a stunt KitKat for anytime you see KitKat like getting thrown at something or getting dirty. It's always the stunt one. Outside, like in the dirt, it's going to be the stunt one. And I have like another KitKat that looks great in close-ups. Another KitKat, which is just another duplicate I have for like a backup. Melinda says, will you have a meetup while you're in Korea in this summer? Yeah, I'm not going to announce it yet, but I'll say yes. But I haven't decided exactly when. So yeah, there will be another meetup this summer in Korea, but I'm not going to tell you when that will be. But I will let you know I'm going to be in Korea this year from May, and then June and July. I'll be in Korea. So about 3 months. So it'll be sometime during then, but I have to pick the location because I always do the meetups at the Han River. And that's nice because it's easy for everyone to find it. Although they did get rid of the I Seoul You sign that was at the Han River. That made it really easy to find the meetup spot. That was the reason I picked it in the first place, because it was so easy to find the spot. Now that sign's gone. And sometimes they also have events there that are just really loud. Like last time we got moved out of the spot. I mean, we didn't have to, but you couldn't hear anything. So I have to think about what I could do for a location. If anyone has suggestions for nice locations to have a meetup, I'm open to it. But yeah, we'll do something. Somewhere in Seoul, sometime in the summer, May or June. I'm not going to do July. It'll be too hot. May or June, we'll have another meetup in Korea for anyone who's there in Seoul. Yeah, July would be too hot. Even June is a bit hot, but it's usually okay. If you're not like standing in the direct sun and walking around, it's not too bad in June, I'd say. Especially in the shade, it's tolerable. Panpo Bridge. I don't think I've been there before. Are you going to live in Korea? For 3 months. Yeah. But not the whole year. I have to do most of my work here in the US, where I have my computer for editing videos. I have my studio here for filming. I have my computer for writing books. I have a new project coming up. I'm going to be announcing a new project probably in like 2 weeks, but that'll be for my members. So if you're in my Discord, pay close attention to the members channel in the next couple weeks. So I'm going to be announcing something big coming. And then I'll let everyone else know sometime next month. It's the bridge with the water fountain show thing. Maybe I've seen it. I'm drawing a blank. I know the name, so I'm sure I've seen it before, but I can't think, have I been there before or not? Oh, wow. Glass Artist. Glass Artist just shows up randomly. I didn't see you, and then you pop in, throw down a donation. Hopefully you're sticking around this time. My goodness. No dabs required. Okay. Oh, I still want to do them. Can I play music? Can I just play music then? Sunsang님, I'm enjoying Ohing. I'm enjoying Ohing. What is Ohing? You're new, but maybe it's reading. I'm enjoying owing your maybe it's owning. Thank you so much, Glass Artist. As always, thank you. The new book that yeah, I think it's owning. I'm not gonna put this in the abridged version again because I'm just mentioning it in case you didn't know. I'm gonna stop mentioning it now because I have a new one coming up, different project. Korean Reading Made Simple. It's a sequel. I've been working on this for a very long time, but I finally actually wrote it back last November, December, January. Yeah, and it just released last month. So Korean folk tales. Woohoo! Yeah, that's all. No long advertisement today. I already did that last 2 times, but yeah, it's for reading Korean folktales, 10 really cool folktales that I like, as well as my favorite one is the Anchovy Dream. You'll know what I'm talking about if you get it. Okay, since Glass Artist didn't say no, I'm gonna play some music before they say no. They said no dabs, but they didn't say no dance. I think this is what Batman does from the TV show. Did anyone watch that? Oh, I loved that original Batman show. That was so much fun. As well as the original movie, Adam West. That was a celebrity death that really hurt, was Adam West. If anyone's like a fan of the original show, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Not enough coffee, so misspelling can be expected. Yeah, thank you so much. I think it was the Batiz. What was the Batizi? Was that what it was called? I don't know. There's a name for the dance. I can't remember it, but I think it was something like that. Yeah. We'll get started with the lesson in just 2 minutes. So any other quick questions? We're going to be learning about Korean weather words, which will be pretty cool, or warm, depending on the weather. It's for beginner and intermediate. So if you're here and you're like, oh, you know how to talk about the weather, I already know how to say that. Well, yeah, there might still be a few things you can learn. Okay, the eraser was showing the back. Yeah, that's my magic eraser. It's exclusive to Korean teachers and other language teachers. We get one of these. Usually we don't show them off though, but I'm okay telling you about the secrets of learning Korean. It's so powerful, it erases matter itself. I'll try to hide it because I know it's a little bit distracting. Faye Bayman in 60s campy TV Batman. Wait, Faye Bayman, that name sounds, hold on. See, I watched the show, I don't know the actors' names. Oh, you just spelled it wrong. Okay. You spelled favorite Batman wrong. I was thinking maybe Faye Bayman was some actor in the show. I didn't know. I was like, I thought I knew the show, but I guess I don't know that actor. Yeah, favorite Batman. Okay. That explains why nothing was showing up. Holy strawberries, Batman. We're in a jam. Yeah. Yeah, that was a ballpoint banana. Red Robin. I did notice though in the new one, The Batman with Edward from Twilight, which I really enjoyed watching, even though it doesn't quite all make sense. Some plot holes in it, but it was still fun. They did have some references to the original Batman TV show, which I thought was kind of fun. He's like climbing up or I guess not climbing up, but running down the building, like the opposite of the Batman. He's got I think it's Mozart, like a Mozart bust in his office. A few things like that, which are kind of nice. Okay. Yeah, no, if you've never seen it, so I didn't grow up with the show because I'm not that old. If you did, I'm sorry, you're old now. But I didn't grow up with the original Batman show, but I used to watch it sometimes as a teenager. It would go on reruns. And it was so much fun because my parents told me, oh, this was the original Batman. I'm like, it's probably dumb. I watched it. Oh, it's so dumb. Like, what's it, pow, bam. This is so cheesy. But when you watch a few episodes, you quickly realize like, oh, it was supposed to be cheesy. They were doing it on purpose. The whole show, it's a comedy show. But I didn't understand that when I first watched it. I thought it was just a cheesy old show. But when you watch it and you realize it's a comedy show, oh, it's great. Like everything they're doing is just to be goofy on purpose. And yeah, Adam West is just perfect as Batman. Like the way he talks, it's just like everything is so serious, but he's saying like the dumbest things ever. Robin, we've got a new type of trouble on our hands. Yeah. I want to see Robert Pattinson Batman utilizing shark repellent. Yeah. Quick, Robin, the shark repellent. He always has like everything in his belt, like makes no sense. Okay, 2 o'clock. enough of Batman. Now it's time for, hey, M&M Twix. Now it's time for the lesson. So today we're going to be learning words that you can use when talking about the weather. Holy weather, Batman. And we're going to be going over both beginner words and intermediate words. So if you see a word that's like, oh, well, that's way too basic, don't worry, we'll do some more that are more for intermediate level. Okay, the first word we have is the most basic, and that's the word for the weather, which is 날씨. Can you say 날씨? Everyone, repeat after me. 날씨. I feel like Dora the Explorer could be a pretty decent Korean teacher. I know she's Spanish, but maybe she has like a Korean relative out there. Okay. So this is just the word for weather in general. You can use it anytime you want to say the weather is whatever. The most basic way you're going to say the weather's good or bad is actually with just the verbs to be good and to be not good, which I'll tell you. I have to say something about this verb. 좋다, 안 좋다. So literally to be good, to not be good. This is very natural sounding. You can say 날씨가 or 날씨는 whatever you're trying to say. 날씨가 좋다, 좋아요, 좋습니다. Or 안 좋아요, 안 좋다. This might seem to you like, oh, that's basic. I'll sound like a beginner if I say that. No, this is what Koreans say. Koreans use this expression naturally, so feel free to use it. If you want to say the weather's not good, you don't need to actually say 나쁘다, meaning to be bad. It's more natural to say 안 좋다 than it is to say 나쁘다. 나쁘다 is still used if you really want to say something is it's bad and you want to emphasize bad. If you don't need that, 안 좋다 is the most natural way to say something is bad. Anything. 날씨가 좋다, 날씨가 좋아요. So you could just say 날씨가 좋아요. How's the weather? 아주 좋아요. 날씨가 정말 진짜 너무 굉장히 되게 완전히 anything you want to say. 정말 좋아요. Whatever. 좋다. In Korean, it's really common actually to use this verb. So common that they'll use this verb with an adverb instead of using a different verb. For example, you might have learned verbs for saying like something is wonderful or spectacular or great, but those aren't as commonly used as just saying something is very good, extremely good, really good. If you want to say, and this goes beyond this too, if you want to say that you love something, oh, I love it, you don't actually need to use, and it's less common to use 사랑하다 to say that you love something. It's more common to say you 진짜 좋아요. You really like it. It's really good. So just know that 좋다 is used for everything, and it sounds really natural. So how do you ask someone how the weather is? You use the verb 어떻다. 어떻다 means to be how. And you conjugate it. So this could be 어떻습니까 if you're being formal. It's probably not going to be that. Most often it's going to be 어때, 어때요. 날씨가 어때요? How is the weather? That's all. I'm going to keep this short because we have other things to go on to. There is another word, though, you might see for the weather. Maybe you've learned this. This is for intermediates. Okay, let me just check here. Yoon said, I tried looking up Dora in Korean. Oh yeah, she is in Korean. So in every language, Dora is in many languages. And in each language, she teaches a different language. So in America, she teaches Spanish. In most other countries, pretty much almost all, with a few exceptions, she teaches English. So in Korean, Dora speaks Korean to the kids, but she'll teach them English. And yeah, I've seen it. My kids watched it before. When he was younger, he watched it a little bit. It's cute. But I mean, it's kind of funny to watch that because he already speaks English. But yeah, so Dora teaches English in most other countries, and she teaches Spanish only in the US, as far as I know. Or maybe in Canada too, like those places. 날씨가 어때요? Okay. 기상 is another word that means weather. It has the same meaning as 날씨, but it comes from Chinese. Because of that, it has a formal feel. In fact, it's very formal. You'll see it in writing sometimes, but it is not used in speech. So even if you know this word, don't use it to ask your friends, 기상이 어떠세요? Like, 기상이 어때요? Like, this sounds really awkward. 기상이 어떻습니까? Like, how is the weather? Don't use it. So yeah, don't use this one in speech, but just know you might see this word also. It means weather. Okay, moving on. One more, and then I want to give you some examples. One other word you will see for weather is 일기. 일기 is another 한자 word, so it comes from Chinese and it means weather, but it's used specifically in this word, 일기 예보. 예보 means forecast. So 일기예보 is weather forecast. So if you want to search how the weather is going to be on a certain day, you could search the day with 날씨, or 일기예보 will give you all of the information you want. So yeah, temperature, is it raining or not, windy, humidity. That's what you're really going to want to know is humidity. So everything will be under this. 일기예보 is what you're going to want to search for. Okay. Take a minute break, then we're going to go on to all of the stuff I need to cover for the lesson. This was just the introduction. Hopefully nothing's too much so far. Eminem Twix says, Dora is multilingual. Yeah, I'm not sure who speaks more languages, Santa or Dora. I just realized now, Dora sounds like a Korean insult. So, 돌다 is used in the past tense. It means to spin, to turn. 돌았다 means someone spun up, like someone's crazy, like wound up. So this is how you'd say someone's crazy, like they've lost it. So you would ask the question, is someone crazy? 돌았냐? Like, are you okay? It's not a swear, but it's quite a harsh insult to call someone like crazy, like saying someone is 미쳤다, kind of that kind of idea. 돌았어? 돌았냐? So, and I realized Dora, the explorer, it would probably be Dora, but it sounds like Dora. So if you're asking someone if they like Dora, you'd be like, oh, are you talking about Dora? Don't use this to anyone though. And don't tell anyone I taught you that. Yeah. Oh no, my name is actually Dora. Use that to your advantage. 전 도라인데, I'm trying to think, how would you want to word it to be funny? 도라인데, you couldn't use this when you introduce yourself though, because it could be a bit too casual in an introduction. But after you know someone, 도라인데 돌지 않았어. Yeah, you could probably do that. 도라인데 돌지 않았어. Like, I'm Dora, but I'm not crazy. Like that. Dora, yeah. Dora. Yeah, I didn't teach you that. I probably, like, I don't know, maybe Hyunwoo from Talk to Me in Korean, I think he taught you. It's bad. You shouldn't teach people that sort of thing. Okay. So, what are the most common types of weather that you should know? Well, depending on where you live, this is going to be depending on where you live, this is going to be completely different. I'm from Los Angeles, so, you know, we have one kind of weather. 완벽한 날씨, perfect weather. I'm joking, we actually don't. But most of the time, I'd say in some areas of LA, yeah, it is like perfect weather year round, except for the days when it's, you know, a few days where it'll be really hot, or some of the days when it's raining, which is a lot nowadays. But depending on where you're from, it's going to be different, obviously. In Korea, though, we're going to talk about some of the most common things that happen in Korea. The most common weather event you're going to need to talk about is P. P means rain. He was also a very influential, successful Korean singer back in like 2006, remember? 2007? Does anyone else remember? Rain? He was everywhere. He was huge. He was like one of the first Korean celebrities to break through into the US, I would say. Although he didn't really get that big in the US, but he did enter, which was pretty big deal at the time. Yeah, so P means rain. And the way you say that it's raining is you have two options. You would say 비가, and then you can either use 오다, which means to come, or 내리다, which means to fall. Of these, 오다 is more commonly used, but both have the same meaning. 비가 오다, it rains. 비가 내리다, to rain, same thing. So, let me give you an example. Or actually, I want you to make the example. And the way it works is you make it into the past tense. So you will say, it rained, right? Just like we would in English. So how would you say, yesterday, it rained? Yeah, how would you say, yesterday it rained? And if you're beyond beginner, why don't you add in like, it rained a lot, or it rained a little bit. Add something like that in. But make the sentence, yesterday it rained. And then I'll show you what it is on the board. Lexica says, I think he's acting more than singing these days. Yeah, I actually don't know what he's doing these days. I just remember he had that song. I'm singing it pretty close, so you all should be able to recognize what I'm talking about. And then, oh, that's right. He was also on that other show too. Anyway. Let's see. Lexica. 어제 비가 많이 왔어요. Perfect. Traga as well. Perfect. Aniki. Oh. Being fancy, but that is perfect. Okay, let's see what other sentences we have. 어제 비가 왔어요. Nice. 비가 왔어요. Nice. 비가 왔어요. Nice. Okay, I'm not going to repeat that 100 times. Let's see what else. I'm just reading them really quick. SQ8MXT, small typo on 어제, but yes. And then random person, you want to have the adverb directly before the verb. So it's 많이 왔어요. Not 많이 비가 왔어요, but 비가 많이 왔어요. So adverbs will always they always add to the verb. Just remember that. They always go right before the verb. They can go at other spots, but that's only for emphasis. So it always would go before the verb in a normal sentence. Otherwise, that emphasis can sound really awkward if there's no reason for it. But yeah, good job. Let's see. Myra as well. You want to have the 많이 before the verb. And that's not just for this adverb, but for any adverb. It always should go right before the verb. Okay, that's really good. Everyone's doing great. Okay, hopefully this isn't too basic, but I don't know, maybe it is. Some of you, it's going to be too basic. Others of you, it's going to be perfect. But we'll be covering more than just rain. Should probably also cover. I was trying. Who else was really big for rain? Like between rain. Oh, you know what? After rain, the next biggest group I'd say was Yeah, Girls' Generation. That was the first group that kind of started breaking into the US market. Was right after Wonder Girls. Wonder Girls kind of started, but it was Girls' Generation that actually got into the US market. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think it was Rain and then Girls' Generation. And then right after that, we had our Gangnam Style, which is what started everything. Okay. 어제 비가 많이 왔어요. 어제, yesterday, 비가 많이 왔어요. 많이 오다. It rained a lot. 많이 왔어요. Yesterday, it rained a lot. 어제 비가 많이 왔어요. Okay. We're not going to focus too much on the beginner stuff, so let's go on. Next is snow. Snow is 눈, and you also use it. 눈 is also used with the exact same two verbs. You can say 오다 or 내리다. So how would you say, it's snowing outside? It's snowing outside. I'll tell you the word for outside, but I'm not going to tell you how to use it. 밖 is the noun. That means outside, but I'm not going to tell you how to use it. I'm just giving you the noun by itself. So it's raining outside. Oh, sorry, not raining. It's snowing outside. Make that sentence. Super Junior, yeah, Super Junior though was before. Super Junior was around for a long time. They were already really popular in Korea from like 2006, 2005, 2006, 2006, 2007, they were really popular in Korea. And then I didn't really hear anything about them in the US though. Like I'm talking about like, did they get into the US market? But yeah, they were popular in Korea even before, Girls' Generation. I don't know. Did they then get popular later again after Girls' Generation? That's what I'm not sure. Maybe that's why a lot of people knew of them. Okay. 밖에 눈이 와요. Okay, perfect. Aniki. 펑펑 내려. Oh. Being all fancy there. Perfect. Trega. Perfect. Flow Purdy. Oh, a typo flow. But I know what you're saying. 눈. But you wrote nunni. I think that's just a typo. So as long as you fix your typo, it'll be perfect. Let's see what else we have. Okay, 눈이 왔어요. I'm just reading really quick. Okay, great. HOT. Wow, yeah, yeah, those are old. Alma of Earthy, those are old. I'm sorry, you're old. If you know about those. Good groups though. Yeah, they're even older than like what I know. I didn't even know those until later on. You know, looking back at older K-pop stuff, then I learned, oh, I see, they were really big. Those groups though were back pre-K-pop, I would say. So this is my opinion, okay? But Korean didn't have a unique sound like they do today. You hear music and you're like, you don't even need to hear the lyrics. You know, oh, that's like a K-pop sound, or oh, that's like a J-pop sound, or that's like a, you know, that's this Western, or that's that type of music. Korea didn't really have a very unique style for a lot of its music, though. I feel like before like early 2000s. Yeah, early 2000s. Like a lot of the stuff prior to that it doesn't really have that feeling that you would say, oh, that's like K-pop like that. I think a lot of that came like early 2000s when it started to have like more of like a really unique sound. Like, oh, that's different. They're doing something different there. Let's see. Traga says, is it wrong to say 밖에서? No. You don't need to though, because it's simply, so 에 is simply for marking a location where something is. 에서 is when there's some sort of action. You want to say, this is where the action is taking place. This is where we're doing something. But if you're just saying something is outside, you don't need it. Like there is snow outside. It's snowing outside. It's not necessarily like we're doing something, but just it is. Then you don't need it. Yeah, anyway, that's my answer. How about Hanson? Oh, goodness. Yeah, I remember that used to be on television daily. Bop, 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 scoop it up, bop. I don't know what the lyrics were, and I don't think they did either. So, okay. Let me give you the sentence. Oops. was like trying to write two different things at the same time. There are many ways you could have written this. So if you don't have this, you're totally fine. And the more Korean you know, the more right answers there will be. So always keep that in mind. 밖에 눈이 내려요. It's snowing outside. You don't have to say 내리고 있어요 to say it is snowing, because the regular 요 conjugation can mean it is doing that, unless you need to emphasize it is, it has been. 밖에 눈이 내려요. So it rains. So it snows outside. You could also say 눈이 와요. It's snowing outside. Next one. Next really common thing you're going to talk about is 바람. To blow, wind. So if you want to say it's windy, you would say wind blows. Wind does blow sometime. You know, it's really annoying. But yeah, 바람이 불다. To be windy. So if you want to say it's windy outside, you just say wind is blowing. And you can say wind is blowing a lot. So make that sentence. It's very windy. In case you're a beginner, I'll give you the word for a lot. 많이. It's an adverb. So it goes directly before the verb. It adds to the verb. Therefore, it's called an adverb. Actually, I don't know if that's why they call it an adverb, but it should be. Okay, 트레가 바람이 많이 불어요. Perfect. Oh, and check rambles as well. Your sentence is perfect from the last one. Sue says Korean trot music. No, actually, while you're writing the sentence, let's talk about trot. So trot music was the pop music prior to K-pop. It still exists. It's still around. You'll hear it. Trot music was originally a copy of Western pop music. It was not it's not fair to say it's not Korean. It's Korean. They're singing in Korean, obviously. Korean artists made it. It was supposed to be, hey, this song is popular. I guess people like this type of music. Let's make our own version of it. It didn't have like this is trot. Like, this is a new thing we're going to start called trot. It was just, I want to make a song that's like this song that I know. And it would be copying other music that was popular. I don't know if that I would say most of it yet. Not all of it, but most of it was copying Western music. So like United States, I say Western, I mean like the US music that was coming out of America at the time. That started 60s, 70s. And then as it continued, then it changed into, kind of helped evolve what we have now today with K-pop with its own unique sound. But a lot of the early trot is like just regular songs that we had in the US at the time, but a Korean version of it, like their style, a different song, but kind of like that. So I like trot. I think it sounds really fun. And then now if you listen to it, it has like an old feeling to it because it was based on those older types of songs that they were trying to copy at the time. And no trot is complete without pressing the demo key on the Casio keyboard. That's another secret of making trot music. Okay, let's see. 바람이 엄청 많이 불어요. Okay, Aniki, perfect. As well as Traga, perfect. Lexica, small typo lexica, but yes, your sentence is perfect. Just fix that little typo. And then Zandria, 정말 불어요. That means the wind really blows. I mean, you would need to say how it is. So you would need to say a lot, 많이, or a little bit, like the amount that it's blowing. So you wouldn't just say 정말, you would say 정말 많이, or 진짜 많이, like that. Check rambles. You can call me Alexa if that's easier. No, I prefer check rambles. It just flows off the tongue, right? Trot sounds like Italian 70s pop too. Yeah, like it's not a Korea exclusive thing. This isn't to say, oh, Korea was copying the US. Like literally everyone was, including everyone in the US, was copying whatever was popular in the US. So a lot of the really big music groups that you know today started off being like copy groups or copy singers or bands of other types of music. I think the biggest one I can think of is Bee Gees. Bee Gees were a copy group. And then what else was? There's another really big one I can't think of. But like if you listen to like original like their group's very first albums they put out, you'll hear it's like exactly like something else, and then they kind of find their own style after that. But yeah, I mean everyone was copying what was popular at the time. Gust of wind. Okay, let me check here some other sentences, then we're gonna move on. 바람이 세게 불어요. Nice, Moonchild. That's good. It's blowing hard. It's very windy. 태풍이 와요. Okay, there's just a typhoon. 많이 분다. Mean place. Yes, and you conjugated that correctly. So 불다 in the plain form conjugates as 분다. In Seoul, well, there's an area in Korea. I'm not exactly sure where it is because I'm pretty directionally challenged. But there's an area called Bundang in Seoul. And so there's a dad joke, which is, what's the windiest area of Seoul? And the answer is Bundang, because it sounds like Bunda for windy. So Bundang sounds like, woo, windy. Anyway, tell that to your Korean friends. They'll love it. They're not going to cut you off and delete your katok and block you. I promise you. Let me give you a sentence here. Move on. 바람이 많이 불어요. So it is very windy. 많이 불어요. Wind blows a lot. So it is very windy. Next. And there's only one more. Oh no, actually that's the last of the weather things, but we have a few other things you're going to want to say for talking about the weather. First of all, what if the weather is just clear? Well, if the weather's just clear and sunny, not cloudy, you can use this verb, which is pronounced as 막다, but you'll hear some Koreans anytime there's a double letter at the bottom and one of them is this letter, you'll hear people just pronounce it anyway, although it's incorrect, but you might hear also this pronounced as 맑다. That's wrong. It's supposed to be 막다. Anyway, but it's not used. Usually you won't say it though like this anyway. You'll always conjugate it to something. So 막다 means to be clear and sunny. Another word you might use, this is for intermediates. So 막다 is for beginners. I actually don't really hear people say 맑은 날씨가 맑아요 that often. 화창하다 is pretty common though. So bright and sunny. So not specifically that it's clear, but you're not emphasizing how clear it is, but you're saying it's just bright and sunny is 화창하다. And this is for intermediates. So this would be bright and sunny. So let me give you a sentence. I want to have you do this, but I don't think you'd get to the same place that I'm at, so I'll save some time because it's long. Let me rewrite that there. Okay. 날씨가 화창해서. So, because the weather is bright and sunny, 기분이 좋아요. 기분이 좋다 means to feel good. 기분 is your mood. How you feel is your 기분. If your 기분 is 좋다, means you feel good. If it is 안 좋다, you feel bad. 날씨가 화창해서 기분이 좋아요. So, I feel good because the weather is bright and sunny. So, if you go outside, oh, it's so bright and sunny. Oh, 화창해. 화창한 날씨. Okay, couple more. I got to go faster. I have too much stuff to cover. Okay, next we have 안개. 안개 is fog. It's pretty common that you're going to see fog. If you want to say it's foggy, you use the verb 끼다. 안개가 끼다. So if you wanted to say a foggy day, you can say 안개가 낀 날 or 많이 낀 날, like a day with a lot of fog, or it is very foggy, like that. So anyway, 안개가 끼다 is to be foggy. And last but not least, 흐리다 is to be cloudy. 흐리다 is normally used just to mean hard to see, like kind of blurry, but this is what you would use for anything that's cloudy. So cloudy weather, you can have 흐린 날씨. You can have a cloudy day, 흐린 날. That's all you need to know for the types of weather. So we have to move on. Okay. Next, I want to talk a bit about the seasons. And I want you to make the sentence. Actually, let me give you one word. The word for a season is 계절. So 계절 means a season. In Korea, you're going to hear people say that Korea has what's known as 사계절. 사 meaning four, 계절, seasons. 4 seasons. They are, not everyone, but a lot of people are very proud of the fact that Korea has 4 distinct seasons, meaning in the summer it's hot and you die because it's too hot. You're like steaming to death. And then in the autumn, you get like 2 days of perfect weather. I'm joking. It's like 2 weeks, but it's still really short. And then you go to winter where you freeze. And then it goes to spring where you get 2 more nice weeks of perfect weather. And then the summer again. So, but they do have, it's true, they do have 4 distinct seasons. And some places in the world, many places in the world don't. We do in LA, we do a lot of places in the US, but other countries might not have 4 seasons. It might only be like summer or spring kind of weather. So you'll hear people talk about how they have 4 seasons. I want you to make this sentence. Actually, no, I'm going to ask you a question, okay? I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to answer it. I'm going to write the question up here. 어떤 계절을 가장 좋아해요? 어떤 계절을 가장 좋아해요? 어떤, what kind of 계절. So literally what kind of season, but that's how you'd say what season. As in, is it a hot season like summer or a colder one like winter? 어떤 계절을 가장 좋아해요? What season do you like the most? What's your favorite season? You have some options. You can go ahead and make your sentence if you already know, but I'm going to give you the options. You can answer 봄, spring. Which order did I put these in? Oh, yeah. Actually, do I have space at the bottom? Because this is too small. Yes, okay. Hopefully you can read it. Okay. We have 봄, spring, 여름 for summer, 가을 for fall or autumn, and 겨울 for winter. So all of you, 어떤 계절을 가장 좋아해요? What's your favorite season? I'm not going to answer it because I want to hear how would you answer it if someone asks you this. Traga says, 저는 봄을 가장 좋아해요. Perfect. 봄, 가을이요. Okay, spring, fall, yeah. Perfect. 봄 많이 좋아해요. Lexica, perfect. 여름은 가장 가장 좋은 or 좋아하는. Go ahead. Try that one again, Zandria. Since you're missing a verb for like, actually you're missing a verb. I'll just say that. That makes it easier. Okay, let's check a few other sentences. Moonchild, nice. Olivia, nice. Let's see. 겨울이나 봄이에요. Nice. 좋아요. I'm just trying to read as fast as I can. Walker, you want to have 봄이 가장 좋아요. But if you have 좋아해요, that would use an object, so you would say 봄을 가장 좋아해요 is fine, or 봄이 가장 좋아요. Okay, it's checking here. Nice, Marav, Trevin, as well as Sunny as well. 봄이 좋아요, if you want to have that with the subject marker there. Otherwise, you would switch it to the object marker. And then Myra, 계절은, so marking it, or you wouldn't use the object marker since there's no action verb after that. Remember, you always need an action verb whenever you're using the object marker. Ama. Wes, small typo, should say ama. Ima is forehead. 계절 중에서 겨울을 가장 좋아해요. Meme, please. Nice. Despite your name, you're not memeing that much. You're actually using some good Korean here. I'm disappointed. You're supposed to be wrong Korean with just memes, but it's actually correct. Or maybe you're memes by day, legitimate Korean learner by night. Let's see. 봄이 최고예요. Okay. All right. Let me give you the answer. No, I'm just joking. There's no answer. So, what's your favorite season? 저는 봄을 가장 좋아해요. I'm not a big fan of summer. In Korea, summers get very Korean summers get very humid. They're not that hot. Like the temperature might get into, in Fahrenheit, the high 80s, maybe the early 90s on like the hottest days, which isn't really that bad. The problem is that it's humid and it feels terrible. Like I would rather be in a desert than in Korean summers on some days, just because of how humid it is. Okay. And then winter, your hands are freezing. So for me, as a teacher, I'm trying to like live stream, I'm trying to film videos. Like I can't even push the buttons on my camera because it's like my fingers won't move. It just gets too cold. And I don't even go there during the coldest months. I'm only there during November usually, where it's just starting to get cold. But yeah, January, February, just forget about it, as they say in Texas. Okay, now let's go on to how to talk about the temperature. Let's get the obvious ones out of the way. 춥다 means that you feel cold. So for cold weather, you're going to say 춥다. And for hot weather, when you feel hot, 덥다. How do you say, it's so cold? Go ahead and make the sentence. And then I'll give it to you. I want you to make actually two sentences. Go ahead and make these two at the same time. It's so cold. And then it's not hot. It's so cold. It's not hot. Make these two sentences. Then that way we can move on. Otherwise, it'll just, take too much time to do them one at a time. These are basic ones. 가장 좋아하는 계절이에요. But I want to use 정말. You can use 가장 좋아하는 계절이에요. 정말 가장 좋아하는 계절이에요. You could use 정말 가장 좋아하는, like that's like really, but that it doesn't mean like it's my really favorite. It just means I really think it's my favorite, like that. So you can use 정말 가장 좋아하는 계절이에요. But you don't need to. Aniki, careful. So Aniki used the adverb ke, which means dog. It's very close to being a swear word, but it's not. It's not a swear by itself because it just means dog. But attaching dog to words makes them very harsh. So you should know that. I mean, it's fine. Aniki, you didn't make a mistake or anything. I'm just sharing in case anyone encounters this. If you use this, it will make your sentence, it's an adverb again, so you'd use it directly before a verb. It makes that sound very slangy and very harsh. So it's like a strong slang word. It's not like, dang, it's so cold, dang cold. It's kind of like the F word almost as far as how it feels, but it's not a swear in itself, but it has that sort of strong feeling. So it's not bad, but I would be careful in how you use it. Use it only with your closest friends who are also the same, like, you know, they're on the same wavelength as you, and you're speaking casually with them. So this would only be something you use if you're speaking 반말 already with that person, like very casually. Then it's okay. Yeah, you can stick it on. But yeah, just know it has a strong feeling. It's not every adverb has different feelings. It doesn't have like a cutesy feeling or a friendly feel. It just has strong. Okay, yeah, I'm just adding that in case you encounter it. Now you know what it is. Yeah, not a swear, but as close to a swear as you can get without it being a swear. And 0, yeah, it's almost like that. It's not quite that. It's like I said, it itself is not a swear, but it has the feeling of kind of like saying that. And gaming create, yeah, gamers will say that too. Okay, let's see what else we got. Xandria says, I like being dramatic. Okay, Lexica has 너무 추워요. 안 더워요. Nice, perfect. Traga as well. 너무 추운데 안 더워요. Oh, you put them together? Why'd you put the sentences together? It's so cold, but it's not hot. Wow, revelation of the stream. That's incredible. I never realized that. It is so cold, but it's not hot. Yes. I mean, you're not wrong. Okay, let me check a few other sentences real quick. Alec, small typo on 날씨. So it's the double S for that. I know it's not an S, but you know what I'm talking about. 날씨가 아주 추워졌어요. 문차요, nice. Okay, Jinji, small typo on an. For anayo, it has the H letter, hiat, at the bottom there. Not just an, but an with a hiat. 전혀 덥지 않아요. I didn't say combine these sentences together. I mean, yeah. Too late now, I guess. 너무 춥고 안 더워. I meant like separate sentences, like just practicing making two sentences. I'll give them to you at the same time. I didn't mean say it's so cold, it's not hot. Like, who says that? I guess all of you do. And I guess I do, since I told you to do it and it wasn't clear enough. Okay, let's see here. Nina, a typo for 덥다. The one you used is 덥다 with an O. That actually means to help. But 덥다 with an O is to be hot or to feel hot. But you're conjugating it. Everyone's conjugating this great. 더워요, which is perfect. I'm really happy to see that. Okay, let me give you an answer here. And 별로 안 더워. I'll use this. I like that my eraser, which I told you dissolves matter. When I erase stuff, it's like it's bringing it into the shadow realm. It just reminded me of that meme. Did anyone watch Jimmy Neutron? I really liked that show. It was so if go back and watch it, it's actually really funny in how weird it is. Some of the characters, like Jimmy's like whatever. Jimmy's, B, like C tier humor, but the other characters around Jimmy are hilarious. So it's worth watching just to see the other characters do stuff and just ignore what Jimmy's doing because he's too smart, he's boring. But yeah. Anyway, back to the lesson. Sorry about that. Okay, 너무 추워요. It's too cold. 별로 안 더워요. It's not that hot. 별로 is a negative adverb, so it has to be used with a negative verb. In this case, 안 덥다, not hot. And it means not really, not that, not so much. 별로 안 더워요. So it's not that hot. And it's so cold. Okay. Next. Actually, I need more space without having to compress it. Sheen. Yeah, Carl, Sheen, everyone, like everyone. The mom, the dad, they're hilarious. The teacher, Sheen, yeah, Sheen's great. Bowlby, I think it's, yeah, Bowlby is his name, right? Yeah. Are you going to eat that last croissant? Yeah, that show's great. Everyone is great in that show. Anyway, okay. 따뜻하다 means to be warm. Okay. I don't know if that was too fast. You can watch it in the stream later. Okay. And then normally you would never say the weather is 뜨겁다 because 뜨겁다 means to be physically hot to the touch, and 덥다 means that something's hot, like it feels hot. 뜨겁다 would normally be used for like a beverage or a food item that's too hot, but you can use 뜨겁다 to talk about the weather if it is very hot. So normally if you say the weather's hot, you would just use 덥다. You can use 진짜 덥다, 정말 덥다. But you wouldn't say 뜨겁다 unless it's like really hot. Then you can say, 뜨겁다, 뜨거워요. 정말 뜨거워요. 날씨가 뜨겁다. Like that. Okay. The other thing you should know, I don't know if this is obvious. You should be familiar with these terms. So 섭씨 is Celsius, and 화씨 is Fahrenheit. So these are different, obviously. Literally the entire developed world uses 화씨. I'm sorry, 섭씨. Everywhere in the world uses 섭씨, except the US. We're too cool for that. So we measure everything with our imperial system. 5 half spoonfuls, like someone's foot holding like a half can of Coca-Cola emptied out. And whenever we make measurements of everything, they're like the most random things, like 3 toothfuls of syrup. But we have 화씨, so you should be aware of that. 섭씨 is what Korea uses. But if you're going to tell someone the weather and you want to say, oh, it was so hot today in Texas, it was like 90 degrees. They're going to think 90 degrees, like you need to convert. So just keep that in mind that you'll have to convert. If it's like 50 degrees and you say, oh, today was 50 degrees, they're going to think, especially as it gets more close to a realistic temperature in 섭씨. So in Korea, you're going to find temperatures, of course, they're going to go all the way down to like -10 in like really extreme cold. But most often it's going to be somewhere between like 20 and 40. But it won't really hit 40. That would be like insane. So 20s and then somewhere like in the 30s are the most common weather, like the most common degrees you're going to find for regular weather. And then colder during the winter time. But yeah, 20s to 30s-ish is going to be spring, summer weather. So just know that. If someone tells you that the weather, it's going to be somewhere in this range, it's going to be in Celsius. Okay, so Celsius, Fahrenheit. So then how do you talk about the temperature? Well, there are actually 3 words you need to know. Yeah, I'll just write these all down. Okay. Okay. 기온, 온도, 체온. All of these 3 mean temperature. Do you know what they're used for? Because they're completely different words, but they all mean temperature. Make sure you choose carefully when you talk about the temperature. Does anyone know what these are for? I'm going to give you a second to guess if you already know. What are the different temperatures for? Yun said it can get up to 105 in Texas. That's right. Yeah. I mean, it can get that hot in California too, but it just depends where you're at. And then my grandmother, she lived in Arizona. She used to live in Arizona. And there, I remember visiting her. It was like 118 degrees or something one day. It was like... Yeah. Okay, Victoria got one. Okay, we figured out one of them. 체온 is body temperature. So if you want to say your temperature, you would use 체온. Literally, 체 means body, 온 means heat or warmth. Okay, what else can we guess? Oh, yes, Victoria also got the next one right. Okay, you're on a roll. Although SQMXT kind of got it as well for air. Yeah, that's the weather. When you're talking about the weather temperature, you're going to use 기온. And then 온도 simply is the temperature of something. So if you're talking about your own temperature, you wouldn't say your 온도. They'll understand you, but that's not what you would say. If you're talking about the weather, you're not going to use 온도 either. You would use 기온. So 기온 is the temperature of the weather. Literally, 기 would be like, yeah, the air, the environment. Okay, so then how do you tell the temperature? Well, you're going to need one counter. You probably already know this, and that is 도. 도 uses Sino-Korean numbers. So Sino-Korean numbers are just the regular ones that go 1, 2, 3, like that. Sino-Korean numbers for the temperature. You also might find, since this is also a live stream for intermediates, you're also going to find this. So normal degrees would be from 0, 0, all the way up to, 40도, like 40 degrees Celsius. That would be very hot. But it also goes below that, it also goes below that. 영하 means, oh wait, I spelled that wrong. Sorry. Good thing I noticed that. I think I was thinking a movie when I wrote it. 영하 is movie. 영하 is below 0. Oh, that's why, because I wrote it on here as 영하. Anyway, literally 영하 means below 0. So if it's below 0, you would say 영하 and then 8도, like that. 영하 8도. So 8 degrees below 0. So you would say this first and then the degrees. So that's how you tell the temperature. Now, I want to ask you a question. I want you to answer it. Think about this as for where you currently are right now. 지금 몇 도예요? 지금 몇 도예요? So now, what degrees, literally how many degrees is it? So what temperature is it now? I want you to answer this question. How many degrees is it now? So this is how you would ask someone the current temperature is by asking 몇 도예요? Or you could conjugate it differently to your friends. 몇 도야? To your boss, 몇 도입니까? Like that. Or to, your father-in-law, mother-in-law, 몇 도입니까? If you speak formally to them, probably wouldn't, but if you do. Yeah, check Rambles. It says, I live in Arizona. People don't even go outside during the summers. That's right. Yeah, I remember that too when I was there. It was during the summer. I was there multiple times. And you pretty much, you get in your car and you drive somewhere. and then you go inside somewhere else. Like, you're not going to be walking around outside unless it's just to get to your car, and that's it. And it could be dangerous if you're out for a long time. Yeah. Few minutes, 10 minutes, you're fine. But like, an hour, nah, not very safe. Ren says, meanwhile, in the UK, 30 degrees is a heat wave. Well, I mean, it could be a heat wave if it's humid. That would be very hot if you're outside all day. Then yeah, it could be. Moonchild, yeah, you would use ondo for food. Any sort of thing that you're touching, like to feel the temperature of, or an object's temperature, that's all going to be ondo. Okay, Aniki says idoyo. Okay, 2 degrees, that's cold. Traga says 10도예요. Okay, 10 degrees. Lexica 63도예요. I hope you mean Fahrenheit. Otherwise, rest your poor soul. 지금은 6도예요. Zandria. Small typo, Zandria, for 예요. Just how you write it. Although, yeah, it is pronounced as 에요. 66도예요. Oh, as well, flow pretty as well. 도예요 for spelling. Okay, let's check a few other sentences. 22. Okay. I should have clarified. You'll want to write this in 섭씨. You'll want to write this in Celsius, because if you're speaking Korean anyway, and you say your temperature in Fahrenheit, they'll have no clue what you're talking about. They don't know what that Fahrenheit means unless they've lived abroad. If you say, oh, it's 80, it's great weather today, it's like 78, they're going to have to look it up. Like, it's not something that they know. So you'll want to always convert to Celsius. Now, what I understand though is when it gets really cold, like below 0 or whatever, it's the same as Fahrenheit or similar, more similar to Fahrenheit, something like that. But yeah, for regular degrees, you'll have to convert. See what everyone else is saying. Melinda, small typo for 10 for 10. It uses the other letter, not the P up. Guatemala. Wait, is that what you said? Guadalajara? I don't know what that is. Somewhere in Mexico, 19 degrees. Okay. Oh, and then if you want to say the Celsius or Fahrenheit part, you would say that before the degree. So you would say 섭씨로, like in Celsius. And then 10도예요 if you wanted to specify. But usually you don't need to specify. They just say the degree in Celsius. So 하시로, like in Fahrenheit, it's this degree. Sandria says, I already switched my weather app to Celsius. 40 is the same on both charts. Oh, interesting. Oh, I mean, minus 40. Okay. Let's see here. 17도예요. Okay, nice, Lexicup. Perfect. Guadalajara. I thought the J was silent. I don't know Spanish. Is it Guadalajara? Usually when you're writing something in Korean that's a foreign word, Korean prefers the actual pronunciation of that word, not the English pronunciation or not the way that it's written. It'll be the way it's actually said. Just memorize the obvious formula. 9 over 5 divided by... that's too complicated. I just memorized the formula of going to Google and typing, 86 Fahrenheit to Celsius and hoping I have internet. Guadalajara. Okay. That's right. That's what I thought. Yeah. It was like an H sound, because that's why Spanish people I know, they'll laugh by writing ja, 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 and they mean ha, 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 right? Okay. Moving on. Next, we need to talk about something that is very essential to talking about the weather, and that is talking about the air. Because the air is another part of the weather. And if you know, you know. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you. Okay. The basic word for air is 공기. 공기 means air. So you can say the air is good. You can say the air is bad. You can say the air is delicious. 공기가 맛있다. Maybe not in my room right now. It's like little dusty from carpet and everything. Okay. Okay. So the areas you're going to talk about with 공기. There are some aspects of the air that you're going to want to talk about. The first one is 황사. 황사 is yellow dust. And specifically, it comes from the Gobi Desert, which is kind of in Mongolia, like northern China area. So it comes from a desert. You can Google Gobi Desert. It looks like, you know, one of those deserts they're going to use in like some, I don't know, montage in a movie where the character's lost in Egypt or somewhere like that. I think maybe they filmed like John Wick 3 there or something. Anyway, yeah, Gobi Desert has lots of sand, lots of dust. And this is a natural phenomenon. Yearly, around springtime, every year, the winds carry this dust over into Korea. So during this time, the air is not good. So you want to wear a mask. So this is why Koreans are actually pretty comfortable with wearing masks, because they normally wear masks around this time anyway, and for other reasons too. But it's a normal event. So if you're in Korea around like early springtime, you want to be aware that this could happen. If someone says there's 황사, take it seriously, because if you're breathing in a lot of it and you're sensitive to that sort of thing, it can make you cough. I am pretty sensitive to weather quality, specifically air quality. So during Korea, if this is happening, I'll be like coughing a lot. My throat will hurt. So yeah, take it seriously. It's just, there's nothing you can really do about it. Just blowing over from the desert. I don't know. Maybe someday they can install sprinklers in the Gobi Desert and that'll fix everything, right? I don't know. Okay. The next thing you need to know about the air. The next thing you need to know, if I can speak, is what's known as 미세먼지. Now, this has not always been an issue in Korea. When I lived in Korea, nobody was using this word. So it's 2013, 2014 is when I started to find out about this word. That's when it really started to get used commonly. And it means fine dust. 먼지 is a regular word in Korean for just dust. So if you're, dusting your house and there's lots of dust coming up, that would be 먼지. So 미세 just means fine, like micro sized, very small. So fine dust. And fine dust affects the air quality index, the AQI. And we have it everywhere. It's in the US too, but it's usually so small in most places that we don't even know it exists. The only time we'll really care about air quality in most of the areas in the US would be if there's like a fire. Then you have to be careful. It's smoky outside, so put on a mask, don't go outside, right? But in Korea, some days will be high AQI, sorry, not high, I don't think that's the right word. High 미세먼지, lots of 미세먼지. There's 미세먼지, there's also 초미세먼지, which is like the ultra fine dust, which is even more harmful to you. But anyway, look up 미세먼지 in a weather app if you're in Korea. If it's anywhere above like 80 or 100, they'll tell you, hey, today is not a great day for air quality. You might consider wearing a mask if you are sensitive to that. For me, I would if it's above that. But then beyond like 200-ish is when it actually starts being a health issue. So on like the worst days possible, it might be up at like 200s, or close to 300, really bad days if it is. Then you definitely would want to wear a mask when you're outside. This is not always an issue in Korea. I want to say it's worse. I'm not sure when it's worse. Is it worse in the winter or worse in the summer? It's usually not that great all year round, but there are times when it's okay. You don't really have to care about it. If you live in Korea, download a 미세먼지 app and it'll just tell you, is the day okay? Is it good? Can you just go outside without caring about it? Or is it a day where you should think about it if you're sensitive, or when you really should wear a mask? So yeah, this is another issue you should be aware of. Is it going to be solved anytime soon? I don't know. There are lots of causes to it. It's not good. I hope they can fix it someday. I heard Seoul Tower tells you by its lights. That's right, it does, but I don't know the colors that it is. So yeah, just pay attention to this, and you will not see it. This isn't like you'll go outside and say, oh, it looks like it's lots of misemonji today. I mean, on a really clear day without clouds, you can sometimes see, like, if you look a long distance, like you're, at a viewing point, vantage point somewhere, you can kind of see the air's not great. But most of the time, you won't even notice. You walk outside, it looks normal, but oh, the app says it's bad. If you have asthma, or I have sinusitis, if you have allergies, yes, you might be sensitive to this. What happens is, if you go outside on a day with high misemonji, you're not going to just start coughing and you're not going to keel over and pass out. What happens is you're going to be totally fine. You're going to say, oh, okay, let me just go to my meeting. Oh, I'll meet my friend, drink something. Oh, it's great. You get back home and your throat feels dry. It feels like you're sick. And you might be coughing a little bit more. You drink water, but you still feel thirsty, even though you're not thirsty. It's just really irritating. And if you have severe allergies, so a lot of people, if you have allergies, you might need to take allergy medicine, because now you're starting to, like, your sinuses are getting blocked. It's kind of like that. So it's really annoying. So this isn't part of the lesson, but Did I spell this right? Let me just double check. I didn't put it in the lesson, so I always want to double check something. Hold on. Okay, let's see. 공기. I think I spelled it right. I always like to check. Yeah. Okay. 공기청정기 is a filter machine. So air filter machine. This is an air filter. These are really popular in Korea. In fact, every building, every house, pretty much, will have this. Restaurants may or may not, because they might be open. They might have their doors open. They can't really be filtering the air. It'd be like running an air conditioner if your doors are open. But buildings, houses all have these. Get one if you live in Korea. If you're going to be in Korea for a long amount of time, get one, because it'll automatically turn on and off. It'll automatically filter, and you'll feel a difference when you walk into your house if on a day that the air is bad, if you've been breathing it, and then you walk into your house and suddenly you're like, oh, I feel good. So yeah, it filters all that out. They're really cheap. The only annoying thing is you have to remember to change the filter every now and then. So yeah, get one of these air purifying machines. They're cheap. You can get a big unit for under $100. So it's not like, it's just a fan with a filter on it anyway. So, I mean, you can make it if you don't really care about how it looks. Just buy a box fan and duct tape like a HEPA filter onto it, just like a whatever, level 8, like a really cheap level filter. You're good. You're golden. Okay. The next thing you need to know about the air is, in the winter, Korean air can be very dry. Very dry. So your hands, your knuckles will start to crack if you're not putting any lotion on them. So the weather gets very dry. 건조하다. And I'm sure it's the same anywhere that it gets really, really cold. So you might want to say something like this. Oh, actually, I want you to make this sentence. This is for intermediates who are watching. Because it's winter, it's a little dry. I want you to make this sentence, and then I'll give it to you in case you don't get it. Because it's winter, it's a little dry. Sandra says, blue is good, green is okay, red means a demon has been summoned. That's right. Yeah, I think those are the official reasonings that they put on there. Yeah. That is true, yeah. They do have to deal with a demon every once in a while. They get a Korean shaman to come out, cast it away, and then it turns back to green a few days later. I guess it affects the eyes too and can cause irritation. Yeah, for me, I'm very sensitive to that. For me, it doesn't mess with my eyes. It'll just mess with my throat. It'll make me think that I'm sick, even when I'm not, which is really annoying because if I'm sick, I immediately want to like rest. I want to drink, you know, hot tea or something like that. But like, it makes me think I am. And then also makes me think I'm thirsty, even if I'm not. Like I just drank a ton of water, but it feels like, oh, I need more water. Wait, how come I don't want this? So yeah, everyone's going to be different. Maybe it makes your eyes itchy or your hands itchy. Just wear a mask, you'll be fine. You don't even need a special mask. Just literally any mask will filter out a lot of that, the misemonji. And it's not something that you have to worry about. So if you're thinking of, oh, I'm going to cancel my Korea trip because there's fine dust. No one really cares about it that much. It's just you're outside, put on a mask if it's a bad day. And then when you go inside of a building, they'll have a filter system there. Like if you go into a big shopping mall, it's all clean air. So... Okay, let's see. Lexica. 겨울이, not 이에서, but you could do 이어서 if you want, or 이라서, either one. 겨울이라서 좀 건조해요. Perfect. 겨울 때문에 건조해요. Perfect. But I don't have asthma, so I can't tell you how it is for that. I just know it's pretty bad for allergies. And it's something I don't think people usually talk about it because, I mean, it might make people think, oh, Korea weather is terrible. It's not really. And it's not something I ever worry about. I just carry, everywhere I go, I always carry in my bag an extra mask, specifically for if I go outside and I forgot that the weather's not great that day for like the fine air. Most of the days it's fine though. You can check. It'll be like not great, but it's okay. As long as it's okay, I don't really care. But on the days when it's bad, people will usually tell each other. They're like, oh, it's bad. The air's bad today, so I'm wearing a mask. So you can find out just by looking, are people wearing masks outside? Okay, let's see other sentences. Moonchild, you wouldn't use this with a 고 있어요 because this is not an action verb, it's a descriptive verb. Only action verbs can say like 하고 있어요, like it is doing something. So to say it is dry, you simply conjugate it normally, like 해요 or 합니다 or 해, like that. Or 하다 in plain form. Let's see. Reading some other sentences. Good job. Good job. Sorry, I'm not saying it loud. I'm not saying it out loud, but 좀 겨울이니까 좀. You wouldn't use 좀 stretched out. You would use 조금. 조금 if you want to stretch it, which is just a little bit. Or use a different verb. 살짝 you can stretch. Or 조금, like that. You can stretch out 조금 if you want. Usually though, it's more common just to use different adverbs. Like 살짝 is a really common one that gets stretched. Nice, nice. Some people are having 이어서, 이라서, both are perfect. You're actually correct with both of those. 이다 can become 이라서 in the 서 form, like because it is, or 이어서, or, oh, actually it's not 이어서. It would not be optional. If you're using 이어서 after a consonant, which can be 여서 after a vowel. It's actually the 이어서, it actually is 여서, just shortened, but that's what they use after a vowel, and that's what they use after a consonant. And 이라서 after a consonant, or 라서 after a vowel. These are the exact same thing in every way. 이라서 is a spoken version, but they're both 100% acceptable. They're both perfect. You can write it too. It's fine. They both sound the same. They have the same meaning. They have different origins, but they both come from the same verb. So 이라서 or 이어서 or 여서, you're perfect. Let me give you a sentence. Oh. Okay. Actually, let me see if I missed any other sentences. Walker says, what about exercise? Like running? Do people just not go out? No, they do. They'll just put on a mask and do it. It's fine. Unless you're wearing like an N100 mask, like it's totally fine for that sort of stuff. It doesn't even have to be 100% like completely attached to your face. It'll still filter it. It'll still filter out most of it. 겨울이라서, 겨울이라서. So because it is winter, 겨울, 조금, a little bit, 건조해요. It's a little bit dry because it's winter. 겨울이라서 겨울이라서 조금 I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying this fast or slow for you. So I'm just doing both and it's messing up. 겨울이라서 조금 건조해요. 겨울이라서 조금 건조해요. So because it is winter, it's a little bit dry. It's actually very dry in winter. So yeah, carry around hand lotion during the winter. 100%. If you're going to Korea anytime between, so November, December, January, February, and March. Yeah, those 5 months, bring hand lotion. Carry it with you in your bag, always. Because if your hands get dry, like you might think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But then if your knuckles crack, then it's a big deal. And you can't fix that. You have to wait for it to heal. So yeah, carry around lotion. Put lotion on, or else it gets the hose again. You know the drill. Okay, next. To say that it's humid, you're going to use the verb 습하다, 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 when read as one word. 습하다 means to be humid. Or you're also going to see the word 습도. 습도 means the amount of humidity. So this is humidity, and you could say the humidity is high with 높다. The humidity is high, or you can say it's low with 낮다. So you'll also hear people say 습도가 높다, 습도가 낮다 when they say the weather is humid, very humid, or not humid. Or just 습하다 is also fine to use too. Check here for the chat. Zandria says, I heard if you dampen the mask and spray it with water, that would be much worse. One is you're essentially waterboarding yourself, because if you have a wet mask, you can't breathe through it. Two is masks don't, see, this is a little science. Masks don't work by blocking the actual particle. They wouldn't, because the particles are way smaller. Some of the particles, these particles are not visible. They're way smaller than the tiny holes in the mask. The way that masks actually work is by static electricity, because the fibers create static electricity, these fields of static electricity on them. Ow. And the little tiny particles, which are obviously small enough, although some of them are big, you know, dust will get caught just fine. But the really tiny ones, they get suspended in the static and they can't go through. That's how the mask works. So if they get wet, you actually have to throw them away or dry them out, because they won't work when the mask gets wet. So you definitely do not, don't make them wet. You don't want to be waterboarding yourself. Let's see. And then they'll get wet sometimes in the rain. You'll know what I'm talking about. Let it get wet in the rain once, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about by it. You can't breathe in it. Yeah. Yeah. If you did get it wet, I mean, for most like general dust though, it's fine. Like you want a wet rag for smoke, right? Because for one, it keeps your face cool, but it's also for those big particles of like smoke dust and stuff like that, because it's very dry. Like if you're talking about like a fire, but no, like if you're running out of your house and your house is burning, then you put a wet rag. If you have a wet rag, that could work. But yeah, you would not want to make your regular masks wet. Very difficult to breathe out of. Yeah, so that's why masks are kind of cool. So they can stop things that are like way smaller than the holes, which, I mean, the holes you can't see anyway, but still. just because they have static. And then that's one of the reasons why when they get old, they don't work so well anymore, because that static is all going to be gone. You know, the fibers get all shredded or whatever, or they get wet and ruined. Okay, that's the end of the lesson. So now I can take questions. The questions do not have to be related to the weather, but they can be. This lesson was originally actually a lot longer, but there is only so much that you realistically will need to talk about the weather. Like, we could have gone into words like ubak for hail. Like, you can say it's hailing, but that's not that common. It might be common where you live, though. Ubak. Literally means like rain. And anyway, this is like ice rain, like frozen rain. So that's hail. You can use hail. But like, I wanted to stick to actual, like, common weather events, you know, not taepung. Taepung does. Oh, yeah. There's one more thing. We didn't talk about this. Changma. Once a year, and this changes, but it could be around June or July, there is what's known as Changma in Korea, which is the rainy season. During the rainy season, it rains a lot more than normal. It might rain for 2 weeks straight. Not every single second, but like the weather will be rainy weather for several days at a time or a week at a time. You never know when it's going to happen exactly, so you can't really plan in advance. Just hope it doesn't happen during your trip. But if you're going to Korea, I would say don't go during, you know, July. Don't go during the hottest weather anyway. But sometimes it has happened earlier. Anyway, yeah, Changma it's just very humid. It's very wet. It rains a lot during that time. And that doesn't mean you can't do stuff. It just means you won't be able to do stuff outside. You'll want to bring an umbrella. You can take the bus. You get off the bus or the taxi or subway or whatever, and then you just go right to your destination. So yeah, just know that once a year there's a rainy season in Korea. It's called Changma. Okay, that's not everything about the weather, but that's not everything about the weather, but those are the most common things you're going to want to talk about the weather. Okay, have you watched JoJo's Bizarre? If yes, who can beat Dio? A Mudang. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Okay. Monsoon season, not monsoon season. They don't have that. Fortunately, it's not that bad. It's just lots of rain. And the other thing is, if you are caught in the Changma, if it's raining, don't panic. If it's like raining crazy and you're like, oh, I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck. I can't believe this. Just wait like 20 minutes. Just wait like 20 minutes. It'll calm down. It's never like crazy rain all day. It's not going to do anything like that. It'll be like regular rain throughout the day. Maybe it'll stop for an hour or so. And then there will be like a few periods where it just like pours down and it's really loud. It could be overnight. It could be during the daytime. And if you're outside during those times and it's just pouring like crazy, but you're thinking, oh, I have to go back home. You don't have to run through that kind of rain and get soaked. Just wait like 20, 30 minutes. You'll be okay. Trust me. It doesn't, that heavy rain doesn't ever go on very long. So usually you'll see people like hiding underneath like, the things that cover your head outside of shops or whatever. I can't think of those, action movie stars always fall on top of them and then somehow are okay. But you just stand underneath one of those, chill out for like 20 minutes, talk with the shop owner, and then it'll stop and you can go. Hey, Bianca. Hey, thank you so much. Bianca Lopez. Let me give you 10 dabs real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, before I forget, let me take a thumbnail picture. That's for me when I edit the video later. Okay, more questions. Give me some questions. They can be about anything. Doesn't have to be the lesson today. Traga says, are descriptive verbs like 시원하다, 선선하다, 쌀쌀하다 use? Yes, they're very common. 시원하다 is cool. Now, we didn't cover, like I said, we didn't cover every single verb you can use to talk about the weather because there are way too many. I just wanted to cover all the basics that you need to know because you could get by saying the weather's good. 시원하다 would be cool weather. 시원하다. 정말 시원해요. 시원하다 is also what they say, is also what they use to describe after you eat something that's hot, like hot and spicy soup. They'll also describe that as 시원하다 because if you don't have an air conditioner, this is like old times, old people will say this. If you don't have an air conditioner and you eat something really hot and spicy, you sweat, and that sweat on the outside of your skin gets blown by the light breeze that there is or the fan in the shop or whatever, and you feel kind of cool. So they actually describe that they'll eat soup like that and it feels really hot and spicy, and they'll say, oh, 시원하다, 시원해, while they're eating. Just so you know. 선선하다 would be like really nice fall weather. Specifically. And then 쌀쌀하다, kind of cold. I'd say these are pretty frequently used. Oh, Blanca. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it's not Bianca, it's Blanca. Different names. I didn't even catch that. Nice catch. SQ8MXT says, 한국에 갈 가장 좋은 때가 뭐예요? 언제예요? When is the best time to go to Korea? Spring and fall are the best times to go to Korea. So my favorite time is April and May to be in Korea. April and May is wonderful. Of those, April is my favorite, but it can be kind of expensive. So April, May, if not April, May, then October, November is okay. November can be a little bit cold, but October can be a little bit hot at the beginning. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd say October and April. Those 2 months are like the best. But April can also be a little bit cold too. But then May could be a little bit hot. So yeah, sometime there. Spring, fall. Definitely avoid the summer unless you don't really care about doing a lot of outdoor stuff. Then you're going to be okay. It's just hot. And then avoid the winter unless you like cold weather. If you like suffering, go ahead. Lexica has a question. 질문 있어요. My study group had a discussion recently about whether to use 에 or 에서 with the verb 다니다. 에 for location. Yeah, because it's a motion verb. Motion verbs don't use that the action is happening there. Like you would say 학교에 가요, 가다. It's just a location where something is. So 다니다 is like 다니다 can have several meanings, but it's like to frequently, to go somewhere, to commute somewhere, or to attend something like that. Flo says, we're going in October. Glad to hear you say that. Yeah, it'll be a bit hot at the beginning of October and like perfect weather at the end of October. But it's not like hot in October. When I say hot, it's the end of summer. So your real hot summer days are over in October. Let's see. Are you already going to be gone from Korea in late August? Yeah, I'll be gone in August. I won't be there in August this year at all. I'll be leaving in July. Bev Berry says, your lessons are a great bonding tool for me and my 16-year-old daughter. Nice. Heather Bell asks an interesting question about the weather. I think I can take this question. I don't know if Billy will see the acid rain questions, but I lived there 5 years and I've never seen or heard of acid rain being a problem. But I'm not an expert. Take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so I used to hear about acid rain a lot. Used to be a bigger deal. In Korea, they say that they kind of say that unless it's been raining for a while already, anytime it rains is not clean rain in Korea. This is general. Like in the US too, the first time it rains in the city, it's going to be like, you know, it makes the streets oily and slippery. It's going to have like dirt in it from like, you know, all the air that's been waiting around. Now it has water in it and it's just dirty. After it's been raining for a couple days, the rain kind of gets cleaner, right? In Korea, it's that way too. But the first time it rains after a while, there's all the misemonji in the air. There could be the hwangsa in the air. There could be pollution in the city, depending on where you're at. So they consider the water that time, the rainwater, to be kind of polluted, you know, not clean. So you'll never see a Korean person open their mouth and drink the water. I see that in the US sometimes, like kids will do that. I've never seen anyone in Korea do that. They think it's dirty, and it is kind of dirty. So I would agree. Another thing you'll hear people talk about is, so daemori is bald, like no hair. daemori. They believe that if you, I mean, this is not really true, but it's also not, I mean, I don't know, it's not really a terrible thing to say, but they say if you don't use an umbrella and if you just let your hair get wet by the dirty rain or whatever, you'll become daemori. daemori가 될 거래요. So that's another thing you'll hear people say. Like if you are bald in Korea, you can joke and say, "Oh, I never used an umbrella." You know, they'll get what you're talking about. That's kind of a common belief, is that you go bald by not wearing an umbrella. So not that it's genetic, no other reason but because of getting the acid rain. So yeah, that's a thing in Korea. People aren't going to go around saying like, "Oh, it's acid rain today." Like, you won't hear people talking about it like that, but you will hear people will be careful to cover their heads when it's raining. They don't like walking around in the rain. If it's sprinkling a tiny bit, umbrellas instantly. That's another Korean thing. Whereas I'm from LA, and if it's sprinkling, we don't care. People will walk around just normal when it's sprinkling. And when it starts raining, we just put up our hoodie, right? We don't actually use an umbrella until it's legitimately like rain, like there's actual rain. Then, you know, we have to walk a long distance, then we'll use an umbrella. Short distances though, we don't care. Just walk around, you know, let our hair get wet. Do this if you're a kid. But in Korea, there is no such thing. It's always cover yourself when it's raining. So that's just a cultural difference that you'll notice. Let's see. Is September in Daegu also hot? So the word for Africa in Korea is Afrika. The word for Daegu is Daegu. They call Daegu in the summer, people who live there know this. This is impress your friends from Daegu by telling them you know about this. They call it Daepurika. It is very hot in Daegu. There are a few things that contribute to that. One is it's a big city, but there aren't the gigantic tall buildings that there are in Seoul that kind of can protect you from some of those sun rays. So it's just like a big city with tons of people and you directly get hit by the sun. It's very hot in Daegu during the summer. I've been there during the summer. It's very hot. So they call it Daepurika. So September is going to be one of the hottest months. August and September. Yep. It's going to be very hot, especially in Daegu. Sue says, stand under the awning. Yeah, the awning. That's what I was thinking. That's what I couldn't think of before. Jinji asks, 가장하고 제일. Your spelling on 제일 is incorrect. It would be the A for 제 is the other one, the all-E one, not the a-E one. They are not the exact same, but if you're talking about using them to mean like 가장 좋아해요, 제일 좋아해요, like if you're using it as an adverb, they're the exact same. Of those, 제일 is a little bit more common. And 제일 also can be used as a noun, but that usage isn't as frequent. But if you're talking about like, if I say it's my favorite with 가장 or 제일, it's the same thing. Here in Mexico, we have something similar. If a big black butterfly flies over you, we believe you'll become daemori. Wow. I learned that butterflies like smells. They like smelly stuff and like sweat. So if a butterfly like that's what they like to lick, like dirty things and sweaty things. So specifically like dead animals, stuff like that. So if they land on you, that simply means they like your sweat and that you smell good to them. So they're landing on your hand or whatever, and they're licking your sweat, and then they fly away. It's still beautiful, though. I think they're still cute. Okay. Aniki says, how to use 대충. Just save the board space. 대충 is roughly, approximately, about, if you're using it with an amount. Like 대충 그 정도예요. 대충 like any sort of general, like roughly, approximately, it has that meaning of like roughly. But it can also be used, excuse me, it can also be used with action verbs to say that you do something roughly. Now, that doesn't mean that that means you're not doing it properly. You're not doing it correctly. You're not doing it the proper way. You're doing it roughly. 대충. This has the feeling of saying that you're just doing the bare minimum of something. So like 대충 썼어요. Like I just wrote it roughly. Literally is what it means. But that would have the feeling of like, man, I just, wrote whatever. I just scribbled something down. So this is used as a spoken way of saying something not done to the best of one's ability. It's just done good enough. Passingly, I'd say, is a good way you can translate. Like passingly do anything. People will scold, like their parents will scold their kids like, 그 숙제 대충 하지 말고 제대로 좀 해. Like don't just like, what's the polite word to say? Half-heartedly do it, but do it properly. Like put some thought into it. So that's how it's used. Bev Berry says, could you explain the reason regarding not standing chopsticks in rice? This is something that every Korean teacher in the entire world will make a video about that saying you should not do. I don't think I have. I don't think I have, but I think I did mention it in my Korean Made Simple book in like one sentence. So if you have a bowl of, it has to be white rice. If you have a bowl of white rice, everyone knows this. You don't stick a pair of chopsticks in the white rice. Why? Because why would you do that in the first place? Who does that? Like the other thing though is I've never once ever seen anyone do that. So it's a non-issue for start. I've never seen anyone do that. Not a Korean, not a foreigner. The reason you wouldn't do it is because that's what they do in Buddhism when they make an offering for someone who's deceased, is they'll put a bowl of white rice and I think they put chopsticks directly on top of it like that. So if you do that while you're eating your own food, it's kind of like you're like mocking the process of paying respect to a deceased relative. That's why. But again, I've never once seen someone do it. The only people I think who might do that in Korea would be younger kids who are goofing around. I've never seen anyone else do it, except for, like I said, I can imagine a kid doing it who doesn't know in Korea. I've never seen a foreigner, I've never seen any Korean person ever do that. So yeah, don't worry about it. But you will hear people tell you not to do it. Like, oh, be careful, don't do this. It'll be embarrassing. But literally no one does that, because why would you stick your chopsticks upright into a bowl of rice? What to do if you want to exit a restaurant angrily? They wouldn't be offended. They would just think, wow, that person really doesn't know Korean culture. I mean, why would they be mad? They would just be like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, why would you do that? Obviously, we don't do that. Why would a ghost need chopsticks, though? That's a good question. It makes me question all of religion when I think about that. Why would a ghost need chopsticks? Maybe this religious thing I'm doing isn't the right way. Maybe it just doesn't, something's not making sense here. Nah, I'll still keep believing. I'm good. Careful, you might shatter someone's faith with that question. Melinda says, I've done it to carry multiple bowls of chopsticks. Well, you don't need to do it indirectly upright, though. You could stick it sideways into the bowl underneath the rice and still have the same effect of carrying the rice, but now you're not doing the insulting thing. But they would never do that in Korea just because it's still associated with putting chopsticks into rice like that. But if you're doing it for yourself, no one cares. You stick it in the side of the bowl and then carry it and go eat it. Like, no one's going to care. Because that's not what they would do in the Buddhism, the sort of thing. Lexica says, don't most cultures have some sort of taboo about not leaving utensils stuck upright in food? I don't think we do in America. I mean, but can you imagine if someone put a fork directly into their bowl of spaghetti and left it on the table? Like, we would think it's weird. Like, it looks actually, that'd be kind of goofy. But it's not like offensive. We just think, wow, that person really doesn't know how to use utensils. I should teach them. Right? No one's going to be offended. They'll just think you're poor at using a fork. Yeah, it just looks dumb. Yeah, you might be right, Carly. I'm not familiar with Buddhism enough to say how they use them. I just know that they do offer rice bowls to the deceased. And I know they do have incense where they stick into like a bowl of like a gray sand typically. But I don't know. I assume they would put chopsticks like that. I just know it has to do with the Buddhism ceremony for showing respect. Well, not showing respect, remembering deceased ancestors. But maybe if someone's Buddhist, if they could let me know exactly how is it used in there. Maybe the chopsticks get a ghost form in the other world, so they eat just that. Yeah, maybe ghosts. I should start my own religion. Maybe ghosts in the afterlife get if they're good, the good ghosts, right? Not the ones that are in like Ghostbusters who are evil, but like the good ghosts. Maybe they get granted a pair of ghost hands. And if they were in Asia, they get chopsticks. And if they grew up in the US, then they can get like a fork or maybe a spork. I think a spork would be really useful. Maybe a spork if you're from the US and chopsticks if you're from Korea. And the ghosts go into like a cafeteria where they get handed, whatever they're going to use. Wouldn't your mom yell at you for doing it? Yeah, I mean, they're going to yell at you if you do it or yell at you if you don't. You'll yell at you if you don't become a doctor or a lawyer. So yeah, I think the pretty default state of many Asian mothers, especially in Korea as well, is to yell at your kids for not doing everything perfectly. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case for a lot of people. Could you explain when to use 일하다 and 출근하다? 일하다 is to work. So these are unrelated words. 출근하다 is to go to work. Literally, 출 is to leave. 근 is work. Like, yeah, labor. So like leaving to go to work is 출근하다. And then the morning rush hour time is 출근 시간. And the opposite is 퇴근. 퇴근 is going home. So that's the rush hour leaving work is 퇴근 시간. Xandria says, I'll do it for a Patrick Swayze looking ghost. That's right. He was in that movie, right? I never saw that movie. Ghost. I have seen Ghostbusters. I have seen, what other ghost movies have I watched? Like early 80s, 90s ghost movies have I seen? I saw Casper. I didn't like Casper. I'm sorry. If you're a fan of Casper, I didn't like that movie. It rubbed me, something about it was just weird. Yeah, I remember seeing it in theaters and I was like, what is this? Kind of weird. Casper is a friendly ghost. Didn't make any sense. I don't know. See it? I heard it's like isn't it a romance movie? I'm not big into romance movies. I like ghost stories. I like, dramas are cool. But a romance just doesn't grip me. It has to have it has to be something and romance. Then it's okay. Like romantic comedy, maybe if it's good. But like romance, like Hallmark movies, like nah, I can't get into them. Alex says, "Did you work when you?" I have, but I don't now. Well, English teaching is an obvious one. I've taught English. Oh, Heather Bell says, second question because I'm greedy. All right. Yeah, feel free to ask any question. If you have a question you've always been wondering about, you can ask me. And if I see your question, I can't do all of them, but I'll try to answer as many as I can. Is there some expression for playing pretend? Yeah, there are a few actually, but I think the one you're asking is a grammar form. 척하다. And you use it with an adjective. So like 이다 would be in. 하다 for to do would be 하는. So you have to know how to conjugate adjectives in order to use this. But that's to pretend, to act like, to pretend like something. That's 착하다. So let me see, what did you ask for? 부자, so like to pretend to be rich. So like pretend that you are a rich person. 부자 is a rich person. So you can say 부자. And then after a noun, you'd use 이다. And the adjective form of 이다 is in for present tense. So pretend, to pretend that you are rich. 부자인 척하다. Like to pretend that you are rich. Like that. And there are other words as well for pretending, but this is probably the one you're looking for because it can be used in all of those ways. Okay. Mostly action, really? Okay, maybe I'll check out the trailer then. I could be interested if it's like not romance. SQ8MXT says, is 귀신 more like a ghost or like a zombie? Zombie is 좀비. So it would be a ghost. And if you have a Korean friend named Eunbi, I knew a Korean whose last name was Cho and their first name was Eunbi. So people called her Chonbi. Chonbi. Because when you say Chonbi, it sounds like Chonbi anyway. So they would call her zombie, basically. I don't think she liked it very much, but it's her parents' fault for doing that. I didn't call her that, but that's what she said. Or I heard she said her friends called her. Yeah, 좀비. 귀신 would be more of like a ghost. And there are lots of 귀신 in Korea. Yes. There are many that are from other countries, like other cultures as well. But then there are a lot of 귀신 that are exclusive to Korea, that are just their own thing. Let's see. I saw Ghost when I was 5 and Whoopi Chan. Oh, is Whoopi Goldberg in that? I might have to see it. I like her. She's pretty good. Patrick Swayze making out with a female lead, but you know, in reality, she's making out. Really? Okay. Feels weird. Yeah, I don't know. I might watch that though. Not that specific part. You know what I'm talking about, the movie. Any advice to be more familiar with numbers in Korea? Yeah, I used to walk up and down stairs at my apartment when I was in Korea, and I would count the steps out loud in Sino-Korean and in pure Korean, and I would switch. I didn't do that too long, but I did remember I did that for at least a few days where I would walk up the steps like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I wouldn't go up the next step until I could think of the number, like 7, 8, 9, 10. And you do that a bit, you'll get it. Or 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, like that. So that's an easy way to do it. It's just forcing yourself to do it, giving yourself something to make it fun, because you really just have to do it over and over and over again until you can feel it, and that takes repetition. Let's see. Someone says, Moonchild 연모하다. You heard it so often? Really? 사랑하다. Where did you hear that? Where'd you hear that one? 사랑하다 would be the one you're just going to use for love, typically. The Fortune Teller's Fault. Is that from the movie? I didn't see it. Zero says, is it helpful to talk to yourself in Korean if you don't have anyone to practice with? Yes, it is. Less helpful than having a partner though, because you won't know if what you said made sense. That's the only issue is did what I say just now make any sense? And if you don't have a partner, you're not going to have that feedback. But for just making practice sentences, yeah, saying it out loud, that's great. That still is very helpful, especially in the beginning. You need as much of that as possible. Let's see. Leah Lindsay says, do Koreans have a fear of haunted places like some places in America? I know what you're asking. The answer to your question is yes, but the actual answer to your question is no. There isn't that kind of thing in Korea where, like in US, like especially if you see like TV shows, like ghost hunting TV shows, where you see like the guy holding like a calculator that's like clicking and, oh, that's a high level of ghost activity in here. See, look, the wind blew the door closed. You know, there is nothing like that. It's not very much in Korea. What they do think, though, let me just double check make sure I'm, before I explain this. Yeah. Okay. So you'll see the word pay. Pay means, I think it's abandoned or empty. Hold on. Let me check, because I actually don't know this, which hanja this is for. Oh, okay. Yeah, abandoned. That's right. I was right. Okay. I'm always right. I'm just joking. Pay something. Pay 병원. Pay 건물, building. Pay 가 for a house. Abandoned building. They do think that abandoned buildings could have ghosts in them. But most people don't think that. I think most people just think 폐건물 are dangerous because they're going to be like broken things, you know, broken glass. Maybe the floors are old, especially in an old building. It might not be safe to hang around, but there isn't like this is a famous house that's haunted. In fact, what happens whenever there's a famous building in Korea that's like known for being haunted, it'll get sold and demolished. That's happened before several times. Like there was a building that people would say it was like a location during the Korean War where many soldiers died there. And it was like an hospital, infirmary. That's the word I was thinking. And so people would specifically go visit it to see, oh, is it haunted? But the actual owner of that building was like, hey, I just bought this for the land. And the owner got tired of people visiting it and either worrying about them getting hurt in it or worrying about just people visiting their property at night without permission going on their property. So they just demolished it. There was a big hospital. I think it was Konjiam. Konjiam, is that right? Let me check. So I have to check all this stuff because I don't want to teach you wrong stuff. Oh, Konjiam. Sorry, Konjiam. Well, I'm glad I checked. There's also a movie they made. They also made a movie. They didn't film it out there, but they made a movie, like a horror movie. Konjiam is just an old abandoned hospital building. And there was like a myth that it was many people died there and it was haunted and the patients' ghosts stay there. And if you watch the movie, it's like C tier horror movie, but it's watchable if you want something to watch. Again, they released the movie, they got kind of popular, and then they demolished it. So it's gone. So Korean people don't want that notoriety of being known as like, oh, that person owns the building. Like they don't want that negative attention of being someone who owns a building that's haunted. It's not seen as something that's cool. It's seen as something that's like bad, right? You don't want bad luck on your building, on your property. So if they can, they'll sell it or they'll demolish it or both. And this is, also demolished. So you won't find those types of places in Korea. If anyone tells you like, oh, I'll take you to a haunted place, it's something they made up themselves. There is no like, oh, it's a haunted place for that. There isn't really any of that in Korea. There are a few locations, but it's not like a big thing. So the long answer was no, Koreans don't really have a thing about that. Zandria asks, oh, SQ8 MXTX, you have a lot of questions, so I'll just take this one, which is good, but I have to, take other people's questions for time. Yuryong is just the Hanja word for, well, it's actually both, but anyway, it's the more formal for a spirit, whereas Kishin is more of a ghost. Yuryong is just any sort of spirit. So it's like a negative connotation more with Kishin. You wouldn't say so, like a good ghost is Kishin, you would say Yuryong. But anyway, both mean ghost. Sandria says, I've heard it's almost the same to dine out as to cook at home in Korea. If you have a full kitchen ready and kitchen tools and everything, then I'd say it's kind of similar. But for some stuff, it's actually cheaper just to go out and eat because there's no tax. I mean, there is tax, but it's included in your meal always. There's no tipping culture. Never tip in Korea. So you go to the restaurant and you'll get a portion for yourself, which is $10. Like, technically, you could have bought those ingredients if you made a lot of it for less than $10. You probably could have bought the ingredients for $3, right? But can you really make that dish for $10 in Korea? No, you would have to buy a lot. Like, you'd have to buy meat. You'd have to buy a pack of meat that's like $10 by itself. And you'd have to buy a whole thing of cabbage, even though you only need like a small amount. It sometimes can be just cheaper to go out to eat in Korea. So I always dine out when I'm in Korea. Instead, I won't eat 3 meals out a day. I'll have like 2 meals or something. And one of them will be a meal. The other one's like a small snack. But yeah, it's cheaper to eat out in Korea. Let's see. Okay, it's the fortune teller's fault if Joonbi's parents went to one to get her name. Yeah, they definitely did not. But it wouldn't be a fortune teller. It would be a specific type of person in Korea that people will go to help pick their name. And it's still fairly common these days where people will pay someone to pick a name for their kid. And they'll also help them pick Hanja characters for their name that have a good feeling associated with them. It doesn't, of course it's fake, but people will take it seriously. You'll get, people will specifically go to one of those people just to have them pick their name because they feel it has a better energy to it. In reality though, pick a name that you like. And what do you think other people would like to call you? What do you think you want to be called? But there are people who do that as a job. Lieb says, have you ever been on the disco pong ride in Korea? I have not. No, I've never been to a park that has one of those, but it's the giant spinning wheel where everyone sits down and the wheel kind of spins around and goes sideways. And there's an operator who makes it like bounce and spin around. And the purpose is for teenagers, young adults. It's not something adults go on. It's something that teenagers and young adults would go on a date. And the idea is just to make people like jump around and fall out their seats and goof around. And there are several of these in Korea, but none at the, I don't know. Is there one at Lotte World? I've never been to Lotte World, so I don't know if there is one there or not. Watch Ghost Billy. You might like certain parts of it. Is this Ghost Billy, or were you saying watch Ghost Billy? I will watch Ghost Billy. I'm not sold yet on Ghost. Okay. Any other questions? I'll take a few more questions and then I have to go for today because I have to edit this video. I've now been streaming for over 2 hours. Yeah. Every week I always have a different caffeine drink. This time it's tropical fruit. It's yellow. Does not look appetizing. It frankly doesn't taste that great either. But yeah. It's like overly sour. It's sweet, but it's like way too sour also. Anyway. Okay, let's see if any other questions I miss from my members. Enormosaurus. Hey, Enormosaurus. How's it going? Not a member, but I know your name right away. Are you loyal to any specific 편의점? I prefer nice to see you. Yes. Not so much I'm loyal to a 편의점, but I do actively avoid 7-Eleven because their prices in Korea. They tend to be more on the pricey side for the exact same thing. I would also be a CU kind of person. CU would be first, and then after that would be a GS25. GS25 is okay. But yeah, CU, GS25, and then after that would be 7-Eleven and whatever else. If there's nothing else in the area, sure, I'll do a 7-Eleven. Sandra says, I wonder if they do weddings at Lotte World. I'll check. I don't know. I mean, if you have enough money, then yeah. Oh, that's one thing you should know. So in English, I don't know what countries do this, but we make money. We do the money symbol like this. We might kind of like do this to mean money, like something you're rubbing between your fingers. Korea is this. This is money. Like this. Usually they make it like this, but you could also just do it like this. Like this means money. Yeah, 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven was a part-time job, as they say. 한국에 가장 좋아하는 게임은 Wes, I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Are you trying to say which game is most popular in Korea, or which game do I like to do? Yeah, I'm not sure if it's that they're more expensive, but it feels like they're more expensive. But, oh, no. But there are different items that each of them will sell for the fresh items they have. And I believe 7-Eleven has, is it 7-Eleven? Or is it GS25? I think it's GS25. They have a fried chicken on a stick. And they have a like a chicken tonkatsu, like a small chicken tonkatsu, and like a spicy fried chicken tonkatsu, I think. I'm trying to remember. I have to try it again. Anyway, it's really good. And like they'll have different fried items you can get. And one of them, I think it's GS25, has the really good ones. And all the other brands will have like different versions of it. Try, if you ever see like they have the hot items next to the register, try those sometime. They're actually pretty good. And they're cheap. It'll be like 1,000, 2,000 won, but that item is like legitimately half of a meal. Nightshade says, is Tonga only used for yes or no questions? I keep reading conflicting info on it. Hold on, let me see if I already did a lesson about that. I'm just going to check really quick if I did a Tonga lesson. No? No, I didn't. Okay. Hold on. Wait, is it here? Anyway, the quick answer to your question is no. I was thinking, I'm like, oh, I should have taught that. It's not that rare. Maybe it's in one of my books. I can check. No, if you're talking about, okay, so yes and no, but the answer, quick answer to your question is no. It's not only used for yes or no. Generally, if you're using it for your talking to yourself, like you're asking yourself a question, 내가 어제 했던가? Did I do it yesterday? Then it's going to be yes or no most of the time. But tonga is not only used for asking yourself questions, in which case the answer is no to your question. There's also tonga, which is a misuse of another form, which I do have a lesson on, tunji. But I haven't done a full lesson on tonga, so maybe that could be something I could do in the future. But yeah, if the answer to your question is no, but if you're talking about asking questions yourself, then most of the time, yeah, most of the time, yes. For it would be yes or no for asking questions yourself, but only in that usage. But I don't have a separate lesson on it in my live streams yet. Okay, Xandria says, let's say you're a vegetarian and you only have 5,000 won. What are you going to get yourself at the convenience store? Oh, that's a good question. It's not enough to get yourself a plane ticket to fly out of Korea to get yourself some vegetarian food. The thing is, Korean food is not vegetarian. Like, vegetarian there are vegetarians in Korea, but traditionally vegetarian Korean would be your monks, your Buddhist monks would be vegetarian. They eat, bibimbap. So bibimbap is going to be vegetarian, so you're safe with that. I don't think you'd get a 5,001 bibimbap though at a convenience store. There might be a restaurant, like a small cafe in an area with lots of students that has a 5,000원짜리 bibimbap, maybe. That would be very cheap though. Maybe 7 or 8,000 would be more realistic for a cheap bibimbap place nowadays. But that's going to be your best bet. I think you're going to just have to stick to the fruits and vegetables they have. You know, you could get like the fruit drinks that they have. You could get vegetable snacks. There are lots of, you know, chips. Can you have chips? You're good with that. You could get, if you're vegetarian but you're not vegan, then you can still have a lot of Korean food though. So they'll have things like, do vegetarians have egg? I know vegans don't. Vegetarians, do they also have egg? I'm not sure. Let me, you know what? Tell me, do vegetarians also eat eggs? If so, you can get a salad. My favorite franchise for salads in Korea is 샐러디. 샐러디 is great. They have options with meat, but you can get it easily without the meat. You can have it removed, or they have other options that just don't have it. 샐러디 is just salady. It's a chain of salad restaurants, and they are dirt cheap, like 6,001. Yeah, it can get you a salad. And it's like a nice big bowl of salad, and they're great. I mean, if you're not vegetarian, they're better because they have like ugapsal, they have samgyeopsal, like they have like jalapeno chicken, like they have all these different types of salads that are great. But you can also order those same salads and just get it with extra corn or get it with extra tofu or some other ingredients like that and make it into a vegetarian version. But I really like it. I mean, I try to go there. I go there pretty frequently when I'm in Korea, whenever I want a salad. Bev says, I hope Korea has Subway shops. Oh. Okay, this is a rant. Subway is my least favorite franchise in Korea. No, that's not true. That would be Lotteria. I'm sorry, Lotteria. One of my least favorite franchises in Korea is Subway. It's nothing like in the US. Now, I like Subway in the US because it's cheap. When you use the coupons that come in the mail, it'll be like $6 for a footlong. And I know the footlongs nowadays are like half the size of what they used to be 10 years ago, but still, they're pretty good. Korea has an obsession with making bread sweet. So that's the first issue, is that the bread will not be that savory. It'll be like slightly sweet and a little bit softer. It's kind of like a hamburger bun, if that's the best way I can explain it. Like, imagine if you stretched a hamburger bun to a foot long. It has that like softer feeling, or like a Hawaiian roll. You're like, this shouldn't be on my sandwich. Cheese is all sliced cheese. By that, I mean American cheese, as we call it. So processed cheese, which I like processed cheese, but if I have a sandwich, I want the regular, real cheese on my sandwich. At least I want it to look like real cheese. I'm not a big fan of processed cheese only on my sandwiches. The meats also will be a bit sweet. The sauces they use on the sandwiches are usually a bit sweet as well. Everything's kind of like a little bit sweet, unless you purposely make a combination that's not. But that's not what really bugs me. I can deal with that. I can deal with another culture's take on Subway. What bothers me is you'll ask for your topping. Like, I want to have, olives, I want lettuce, and I want tomatoes. I swear they count how many of everything they give you. So you'll say, yeah, can I get olives? And they'll do this. There'll be like 3 olives that have been chopped into like eighths, and they'll sprinkle them over. Like, okay, what's next? I'll be like, I said I want olives, please. They'll be like, they'll do it again, except with 2 this time. And then you just give up. You're like, okay, fine, next ingredient. Let me get pepperonis. They'll like count them out. Okay, can I get, you get the idea. I'm not going to go on for dramatic effect. But it's like, give me some toppings. Come on, man. I'll pay you double. Just give me the toppings. Like, oh yeah, we can give you extra for this much money per topping. And it's so high that it's just, you're like, forget it. I don't want to pay $40 to make the same thing I can make it back at home for $6. So I don't like it. If someone buys it for me, I wouldn't even want to eat it at that point. I'm just like, I don't like it. I'm just not a fan of it. I've been burned too many times by Korea Subway. I gave him 2 chances. I gave him 2 chances because I tried it and I didn't like it. But I thought, that was years ago. Maybe I just got the wrong one. So I went again and I got something else. Little sweet, disappointing. I'm like, okay, fine. So I gave it up for like 6 years. 2 years ago, I decided, you know what? I haven't had Subway in a long time. My taste buds have matured. I have matured as a person. I'm going to try it again. Go back there. Horrible. Just as bad as I remembered. Maybe worse. So yeah, I'm done with chances for Subway. If you like Subway, tell me why. I mean, in Korea. If you like Korean Subway, tell me why. I'd be interested in knowing, am I ordering it wrong? I mean, I thought I should go get the items that they recommend, the items that they have advertised, but am I doing this wrong? Please. I'm not against liking Subway in Korea. I just haven't found a way to so far. There is no method for me to do that right now. My first least favorite, though, would be Lotteria, which is just an abomination that I don't know how it survived. Their fries are good though. I'll admit. Lotteria has pretty nice fries. Their desserts are good. I mean, it's kind of like DQ in the US. Like, why would you get anything at DQ, Dairy Queen, except for like their ice cream? Like, who goes to DQ and gets like, 10 hamburgers and fries and drinks? No. You just get their ice cream because their ice cream is pretty good. It's kind of like that to me. Like, I mean, if I go to Lotteria and just get their desserts, I leave pretty happy. But if I get one of their meals, I'm like, I wish I saved my money. Even when I had their Hanu burger, so they made a Korean beef burger, which was a special promotion they made. It was like 10,000 won, so like $8 or so for this one burger. Not for the set, just for the burger. So it was really expensive to begin with, but they promised it's Korean beef. So I'm like, okay, it has to be good. So I ordered it. It was good. It was pretty good. I admit it was good. But I had to pay a lot of money to get it. I could have gotten a regular, cheap quarter pounder with cheese from McDonald's in Korea, which I also don't like, but it's okay. It's acceptable. But yeah, it's just a bit of a disappointment. So I usually avoid Lotteria as well whenever I'm in Korea. But sometimes that's the only choice you have, depending on where you are. Heather Bell says, I like Subway Korea for their wraps, not their sandwiches. Oh, see, I would never get the wrap in the US, but I never tried the wrap in Korea. Maybe the wrap's better. And you can get Dr. Pepper there. Well, I'm not a fan of Dr. Pepper anyway. I know it's like cherry soda, but I couldn't really get into it. Nico Rosberg. Okay, I'll answer this question. But let me just check Xandria's comment. I wonder if a packet of ramen has like a sticker for certain flavors like Buddha approved. No, of course not. No, if you are a vegan in Korea, good luck. You can do it. I believe in you, but there's nobody's going to help you. If you do it, you did it all on your own efforts. Congratulations. I truly, I can admire that. I respect that. If you are vegan in Korea, it's not something that's like an easy thing to do like it is in the US because there are so many options. Vegan approved. I never see that kind of thing in Korea. The word pigon in Korean is known, but there aren't like pigon restaurants like that are general in Korea. You'd have to find them specifically. And there are lots of them, but you have to go find them. It's not like an obvious thing to do. Okay, someone asked, did you ever go to North Korea? And someone else, the same person also asked, would you visit there for exploring it? No, I would never go. Me? Not just a random foreigner, but me? Specifically me, Billy Go, the YouTuber who teaches Korean? No. I would be such a target there. No. I mean, they're not going to mess with someone who's like some random tourist. They don't want to scare people off from giving them money, but me? They'd gamble on me. At least I think they would. Native English speaker, speaks Korean fluently, teaches Korean. No, I would never leave there. Not on my own choice. There's a non-zero chance that I would not be able to leave. I'm not going there ever. The only way I would go there is if they, like I said, if they opened up, as in legitimately, and that they're not going to do that. At least not in my lifetime. I don't see it anytime soon. I hope. I would love that. That would be awesome if I could visit there, but it would have to be legitimately. The only way to go there right now is illegitimately, which is from you go through China and then you can do a tour on the other side and you get fed propaganda. They take your money. Happily, they'll take your money because they can use it for their stuff. Zandria says, I don't know who else needs to hear this, but the only difference between a quarter pounder and a Whopper is mustard. That's it. Really? I actually like their quarter pounder because it's the most American style hamburger that I can get in Korea is just getting their quarter pounder with cheese because it's the most like something I would get in the US at McDonald's. It's kind of gross, but it reminds me of home. It's that kind of gross. Actually, McDonald's in Korea is pretty okay. Sometimes you really just want a taste of home, and you can't get that by getting like if you want a shake. In Korea, a shake is not a shake. In Korea, they make shakes with milk, which might sound obvious. Of course, it's a milkshake. We don't make shakes with milk in the US. We make shakes with cream. I used to work at Baskin Robbins, and it comes the soft serve that you make it with. You can make it with ice cream traditionally, but you can also make it with a liquid, which is like a cream, and it comes in like a milk jar, and it's just thick cream with flavoring, and you put it into the machine, and the machine freezes it and spits it out and makes it in all creamy and everything. Korea doesn't have those. They don't have those machines because dairy products are way expensive, especially anything beyond milk. So any cream, cheese, ridiculous prices. Like I'm talking like $10 for a small bag of cheddar cheese, ridiculous prices. So you could never get a shake in Korea, but most places you can't. McDonald's though does. So if you want a shake and you're in Korea, you can get one at McDonald's. Other places, if you order a shake, they'll make you a shake that's made with milk. And it kind of tastes like they froze milk into ice cubes and then pushed it into a blender and added flavoring. So like you'll drink it and you're like, yeah, it's cold. It tastes like dairy. It is. It has some flavoring, but the texture's wrong. It doesn't have that creamy shake texture. So that's what I found with shakes in Korea. However, there is also now Five Guys in Korea, and they make shakes, and they also do the mix-ins. Like you can get, peanut butter, or I think they probably do bacon and everything like that in there too. So now you can get shakes in Korea, but it's normally you couldn't unless you go to some of those fast food chains. Nico says, would you say Korean is harder than Chinese? Yeah. I said it. I said it. But only in the beginning. I mean, any language can be difficult or easy in the beginning. Japanese, I'll say, is very easy in the beginning stages. You'll see so many people that can get to like a speaking ability level, whatever that means. You'll be able to speak basic Japanese with just, a few months of practice and study, because the basics, you don't need to have like in-depth conversations. You don't need a lot of grammar to make sentences in Japanese, just the way that the language works. They use a syllabic language with syllables, which Korean is an alphabet. Much more complicated in the beginning. Past the beginning stages, though, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same. Chinese is going to be ridiculously hard. You're going to have to learn all of the idioms in Chinese, just like you would in Korean. You have to learn all the Chinese stuff. Japanese as well. You're going to still learn all those Chinese idioms in Japanese too, if you want to go to the advanced level. So I think beyond the beginning level, they're going to all even out. But in the beginning level, Korean's definitely harder than Chinese or Japanese. And I say that as someone who has learned all three of those before. Japanese, I'd say on a very good day, I would be intermediate. Chinese, I used to be a beginner, honestly, a beginner. And that was a long time ago. Now I've forgotten most of it. Chinese is tonal. The tones weren't that big of a deal because they'll understand you even if you didn't make them correctly. It's perfectly fine. I mean, if you just said, my stomach's like, I think it's not happy with the drink I had. If you say the words and just say them normally, no one's going to have any difficulty understanding your Chinese. The problem is when you say one sound, like you just say one sound, and they're not going to know what you said because it's one sound out of context. But in context, it doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. Everyone's always stressing about that. And then Cantonese has even more because I did Cantonese as well. It's not a big deal. And you'll hear it a lot. You'll realize, oh, I see they say it like this. It's not a big deal. Anna says, have you eaten Mexican food in Korea? Oh, who loves Mexican food? Seriously, who doesn't love Mexican food? Mexican food, you Mexicans are like incredible. Mexican food is the best thing in the world. I swear. And I'm like part Mexican. I know I don't look it, but I am. Grandmother is fully Mexican. Like Mexican food is just amazing. And so I'm in Los Angeles, and fortunately we have so many Mexican people, which is great. And as a result, we get real Mexican food here. Although, obviously you go further south, San Diego is going to even be more legitimate, and go into Mexico. We have Tijuana, which is not too far, more legitimate, in Mexico, right? But we have real Mexican food here too. If you go to Mexican restaurants, you can get actual, real tacos, not like, not Taco Bell. We have that too, but like actual food. Wonderful. I love Mexican food. It's one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite kinds of food in the world, but it's also one of my favorite kind of foods to have in LA whenever I'm here. I really miss Mexican food whenever I'm in Korea. There is very little there's like no Mexican food in Korea. I'm sorry. There are so many Mexican 음식점, Mexican restaurants. You want tacos in Korea? Oh yeah, no problem. You want burritos in Korea? Oh yeah, no problem. Wait. Did you say you want it to taste like actual Mexican food? Hold on there, partner. Hold on. That's a bit of a tall order. I don't know if we can do that for you. Well, here's what we can do. Okay. I've got some, I don't have corn tortillas. I've got flour tortilla. You good with flour tortillas? Yeah. Okay. We can do something here. Let me put it down. Okay. We got flour tortilla. Oh, let's see what else I got. What I got for meat. Oh, you want pork? Hold on. Best I can do is this overly sugar pork. Is that okay? No? Oh, hold on. Okay. I made it kind of spicy. I put red gochu on it. You wanted Mexican peppers? Sorry, but I can do spicy red gochujang on the pork. You're good? Okay, we can go with that. Cabbage? You want cabbage? Oh, sorry. Lettuce? You said you want lettuce on it? I have this cabbage. Are we okay with that? It's close enough. Cabbage is good, right? Yeah, we're good with cabbage. Cabbage is good. Okay. Cilantro. What's that? Cilantro. Google it. Kusu. Oh, you want cilantro? You don't want that. Because we have different genes, we can actually taste cilantro over here in Korea. You trust me, it tastes like soap. You don't want any of that. We're not putting that on for you. Oh, you really want it? Okay. All right, here's a thimbleful. All right, I'll put it on your plate. Don't even look at it. Okay. Oh, what else do we want for your tacos? Hold on. You said you want lime? Best I can do is a lemon. Limes are kind of expensive. Here's a lemon slice. Here's one. You want two? Oh, no, sorry. It's one. You want two? It's extra if you want two. It's one. Okay, just one. Okay, what else do we want to put in your taco? Radish? Who puts moo in their taco? Oh, you mean those radishes? Yeah, we don't have those over here. But I can do daikon radish, the white radish if you want. No? Okay. I'm going to put it on anyway. All right. That's pretty much what you get in Korea. So you end up with something that actually tastes pretty good. You're going to say, "Hey, this taco's pretty good," or "This burrito's pretty good." But at the end of the day, it's not Mexican food. It's not what you wanted. It doesn't satisfy that urge you had for Mexican food. That's still going to be stuck in your stomach the whole time you're in Korea. You're like, oh, I still want some tacos. I want some carnitas, right? You want some crispy carnitas? I made carnitas before with my slow cooker, and then we fried them in oil in my cast iron pan. Oh, so cheap. You get so much. It tastes amazing. You get some real hot sauce, some limes, big handful of cilantro. You get some the sprinkled cheese that they add to it. Oh, it's great. Corn tortillas. You get a giant bag of corn tortillas made fresh by the grocery store, like this big for $2. You know what I'm talking about. It just doesn't exist. It's good. I'm not bashing Korean tacos. They're Korean tacos, and they do a really good job with what they have, because you cannot get some of those ingredients in Korea cheap. They're just not widely available. Like, no grocery store sells cheap corn tortillas. You can maybe buy flour tortillas, but those are expensive. So they're not going to go all the way and get corn tortillas and cilantro and all, like, make their own salsa like a real restaurant would do. They're going to do what they can get without spending too much money, because they can't sell it to you for $10 per taco. Who would buy that? No, they can sell, maybe 2,000, 3,000 per taco. They can do that. They can make that work, but you're not going to get what you want. So yeah. Rice is another thing. You want Mexican rice? No. But what they can do is add some spices onto regular white rice in Korea and kind of fry it. And now it's kind of like Mexican rice. As someone who grew up eating, sometimes having Mexican chicken rice and stuff, it's not the same. But you'll like it. It's not bad. Oh, and then the worst offender. Chips, right? What do you want at a Mexican restaurant? Well, while you're waiting for your food, you want some chips and salsa. I can do that for you. Hold on there. Here, hold on. Let me get you some chips. I have corn tortillas to make chips. Okay. Actually, I didn't make them, but don't tell anyone. I bought them from the grocery store. They were in a bag. They're called Mexican corn tips. Okay, we got them. We got them though. Shh, here you go. Here's a nice bowl, like a rice bowl size amount of chips. Oh, you want to dip that in something, right? Well, shoot, I don't have any salsa because they don't actually sell that. I don't want to just give them the salsa I bought at the grocery store in a jar that was 8,000 won. Hold on. I'm going to make my own. Yeah, that'll be authentic. Okay, perfect. I made some great salsa. Let me add sugar into it again. So here's a little bit of salsa. Oh, and I can't give you too much. Let me give you like 2 spoonsful. If you're lucky, you get that. Most places, though, won't even do like a salsa. They'll just give you Velveeta cheese that you dip it in. So you have your handful of chips and you're dipping them in cheese, and it doesn't even fit in the little thimble that they give you for the cheese. So anyway, you finish that. More chips, please. Oh yeah, it's 4,000원. You're like, you know what? Forget it. They weren't even that good. So yeah, that's my Mexican restaurant experience in Korea, and I've formed this opinion over years. I wish I was stereotyping one place. I've been to so many restaurants. I just gave up. I just accept it is Korean Mexican food, and I love it. If I can get it, it's great. But it's never been, not once, I've never, ever found one place that tastes like any of the Mexican food I can get here. And I'm being a bit picky because, like I said, I'm 1/4 Mexican. So I want real Mexican food, but it just doesn't exist. If someone knows a real, legitimate Mexican restaurant in Korea, I don't care how expensive it is, please send me the information. I would love to try it and be proved wrong. And don't even get me started on chili. Don't get me started on chili. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah, Judy. Thank you, Judy. Yeah, anyone who's but if you live in Korea, you might have a different opinion because you kind of get used to not having it, that you'll find some place that actually gives you like real corn chips and you'll be like, oh, it's real. This place is Billy. This place is legit. But if you come from California and you haven't been in Korea for too long, it doesn't hit the spot. There's a fake Chipotle in Korea as well. You'll find it. Under the border, on the border, under the border. It's something like that, something the border. There's like a fake Chipotle in Korea that does the same type of bowls for like 8,000 won. So it's like dirt cheap. like 8 or 9,000 won for a big bowl, and all the ingredients are wrong. But if you look at it, you take a picture, it's like, oh wow, it's Chipotle, and somehow they made it cheaper. It's not Chipotle. It's not. But it is good. I have had it. It is actually good. It's just don't expect anything like Chipotle. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good. I think that's enough for today. We had our Mexican food rant. We always have to have a rant about some sort of food whenever we have a live stream. All right. Thank you everyone for coming. I have to edit this video, and I will see you again next time. Oh, there is no live stream next week because we had one last week, but the week after that, we'll get all new options. We'll have 4 or 5 new options. So if you have a request for me to teach for a live stream, please, now is your opportunity to get it in before the next time I do a vote. I already have topics prepared, but if you're a member and you have a topic you want to recommend, let me know and I'll add it to the next list. See you next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.